The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.
Sid and Friends in the morning.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I'm sorry, Sid. Hi.
Oh, God, don't be sorry. You kidding me?
No, I'm wrapped up in these meetings on peace. And I said, it's between peace and Sid Rosenberg. And I said, let's take Rosenberg, okay? So.
Miss Israel says she randomly ran into New York's First Lady at a Williamsburg coffee shop on Sunday, and the encounter lasted about as long as Rama Dawaji's interest in being filmed. Here's what went down. Melanie Shiraz, 27 years old, Miss Israel, is in town for the Israeli consulate event, sits down at a Brooklyn cafe. Rama Dawaji, wife of newly inaugurated NYC Mayor Zohran Mamdani, sits down right next to her. Shiraz asks for a photo. Dawaji says, no problem. Shiraz starts a selfie video. Dawaji clocks the camera, says she didn't know it was a video, and tries to slide out of frame like someone who just remembered they have a podcast to get to. Then Shiraz mentions that she's Miss Israel. Dawaji's tone, and I am quoting here, changed. Shocking development for a woman who last year had to publicly apologize for liking a post celebrating the October 7th massacre, and once posted that Tel Aviv shouldn't exist in the first place. A woman whose husband, the mayor, keeps insisting she's a private person who has held no formal position. Private is doing some heavy lifting in that sentence. The First Lady of New York is not a private person. The First Lady of New York is the First Lady of New York. And here's the part that nobody's saying out loud. Dawaji apologized in a press release. She didn't even apologize in the cafe. The apology was for the institution. The brush off was the actual position. Now, this is what a managed apology looks like. It survives the news cycle. It doesn't survive a real human being asking a follow-up question over coffee. And it tells you exactly how the next 4 years of City Hall communications are going to work. Polished public statement, private body language doing the opposite. New Yorkers should get used to the gap.
You know, my wife is the love of my life, and she's also a private person who has held no formal position on my campaign or in my city hall. I, however, was elected to represent all 8.5 million people in this city, and I believe that it's my responsibility, because of that role, to answer any questions about my thoughts and my policies and my decisions.
Billionaire Ken Griffin is slamming Mayor Mamdani for making him the poster boy for his campaign to tax the rich.
Yeah, Griffin's saying that the mayor's rhetoric is putting his life in danger. Political reporter Marcia Kramer joins us now with more on this, Marcia.
Okay, Jay and Jess. Mayor Mamdani began targeting Ken Griffin during his campaign for mayor. But to Griffin, it apparently became personal when the mayor posted a video that not only attacked him, but included where he lived. Griffin pointed to the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
What really upset me about the video was the fact that he put me in harm's way.
Hedge fund billionaire Ken Griffin has made no secret of his unhappiness with Mayor Mamdani and his efforts to make him the poster boy for the need to tax the rich and tax the second homes of people who don't live in the city full time. But now he says the mayor put his life in danger.
He seems to have forgotten that the CEO of another American company was assassinated just blocks from where I live in New York. And to put any citizen in harm's way is just inappropriate for one of our political leaders.
Griffin was referring to the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, which is why he was upset and lashed out at the mayor's video.
Like this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich.
To turn me into a political puppet was just in poor taste. Really poor taste. The tax itself is a tax that discriminates against a narrow group of people is also disconcerting. You know, our company's thinking about making a $6 billion investment in New York City.
350 Park.
Right? Are they going to now have a special tax rate for those that own office buildings who live out of state. Like, where's this stop in New York?
The mayor did not address Griffin's concerns about his safety, saying through Press Secretary Joe Calvello, Mayor Mamdani wants all New Yorkers to succeed. That includes business owners and entrepreneurs who create good-paying jobs and make the city the economic engine of America. It also includes Ken Griffin, who is a major employer in our city and a powerful figure in our economy. But the mayor did not relent in his demand to tax the rich. His press secretary saying on his behalf, quote, if we want this city to become a place that working people can afford, we need meaningful tax reform that includes the wealthiest New Yorkers contributing their fair share. So what is left unsaid is whether Ken Griffin plans to renege on his $6 billion project and walk away.
What is no longer a point of discussion is that Miami is now, when we moved from Chicago, there was a debate between New York and Miami. It's unquestionably true that we made the right choice. I'll leave it at that. It's unquestionably true that we made the right choice. And now what the mayor of New York has made clear to my partners, and principally my New York partners, is that we need to double down on our bet in Miami, because we want to be in a state that embraces business, that embraces education, that embraces personal freedom and liberty, and that embraces people having an opportunity to live the American dream. And a dream of earned success, not a dream of redistributive handouts that leave people dependent on government for their lives and their livelihoods in a way that takes away dignity and honor.
Amen.
An NYPD captain has been transferred from his Brooklyn precinct to 911 call center duty up in the Bronx after a viral video shows him criticizing Mayor Zohran Mamdani. News 12's Tim Harfman breaks down the video and more on how the department is responding.
He's a temporary. He's expendable. Mayor This video, widely shared on social media, shows an NYPD captain calling Mayor Zohran Mamdani an embarrassment and total nonsense.
Your boss. He's your boss. He's an embarrassment. Exactly.
The 40-second clip circulating online comes after weekend ICE protests and several arrests outside Wyckoff Heights Medical Center. An NYPD spokesperson says Captain James Wilson has now been transferred from the 94th Precinct in Brooklyn to the department's call center in the Bronx as the disciplinary process plays out. The spokesperson adds NYPD policy prohibits an on-duty officer from publicly expressing their political opinions. The video ends with Wilson talking about Democrats.
All Democrats say no, based on human race.
In an unrelated news conference Monday, Mayor Mamdani said he did not see the video. We followed up today, and his office referred us to the NYPD. We reached out to the Captain's Endowment Association for comment, but have not yet heard back.
Republican gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman meeting with President Trump at the White House. But will the visit help him erase Governor Hochul's sizable lead in the polls? Political reporter Marcia Kramer has the story.
Bruce Blakeman talked issues and politics with President Trump, hoping some of the gold dust of an Oval Office visit would burnish his campaign for governor. He spoke about it after they met.
We talked about economic development, cutting utility costs, and making for safer communities. So thank you, President Trump, for the meeting.
The sit-down coming as a new Siena poll has some good news and some bad news for Blakeman. Kathy Hochul's favorability rating has fallen to 41%, but voters still like her better than him. She's ahead by 16 points, 49 to 33. And while voters were split when I asked if Hochul is doing a good job.
Not really. I don't think so. I think everything is just going up, and we're struggling out here.
She's very, I think, approachable. I think she's likable.
What?
And also, very political savvy.
What? They were upset that the Nassau County executive decided to meet with President Trump.
I think it hurts him because, Trump is not, he didn't win in New York.
I would never vote for anybody who supports Donald Trump, like Bruce Blakeman.
Political experts say the White House meeting is a mixed bag for Blakeman. On the one hand, the president is not popular in New York. The Siena poll gives him a 33% favorability rating, the lowest of his second term. But on the other hand, it could mobilize Republicans to donate money to his campaign.
Him sitting with the president is going to be good photo op for the Republican base to get excited. And another thing that the president has at his disposal It's fundraising power.
The meeting also gave Kathy Hochul an opportunity to slam the Blakeman-Trump friendship.
He's going to get his marching orders. He's got to find out what Donald Trump wants him to do in the state of New York, because this would be what he would do if he was to be ever elected.
Hochul has also had several meetings with Trump, but she says that's totally different.
I go to have a fight. When I show up, it's to say, we don't want this, and try to find a way to get money turned back on.
Marcia, getting back to the Siena poll that you mentioned, it actually showed that Governor Hochul had increased her lead by 3 points in the last 2 months. So what does that mean for Blakeman? Well, actually, the campaign has barely started. The election isn't until November, and the governor has been occupied with trying to get a budget, which you'll recall is almost over a month late. The poll shows some issues Blakeman can exploit. The majority of voters say the state is heading in the wrong direction in terms of reducing crime, creating affordable housing, and addressing the cost of living. In fact, in the cost of living, 67% say the state is in the wrong direction. That's a big number, 67%. When do you think the dial is going to be really turned up and they're going to both be campaigning out there in earnest?
Well, truthfully, probably not until the summer after the legislative session ends in sometime either June or July.
If you were looking for drama, if you were looking for the moment, if you were looking for entertainment, that's what he gave you. And I think there were people who were critics, severe critics, and there were people who loved it. And I'll tell you this, as the years went by, I think the fans really grew to love the home run calls. The Yankees hit 1 million home runs every year. They loved the entertainment value of it, and they started to appreciate that and not worry too much about the descriptive analysis of a certain play.
The other thing that was funny about Sterling, with my old partner here, about the passing of John Sterling, legendary Yankee broadcaster, as Mike said, never missed a game in his life. He wouldn't want to dare miss a game in case he got replaced by somebody.
Yeah, he didn't want somebody else to do a game.
Yeah, he definitely did. He didn't want anybody else working but him. But the one thing about him, he used to whine a lot when the Yankees weren't playing well. And you never could argue with him because he had the guts to knock the Yankee. He got a little Harry Carey in him. Because if he didn't like what the Yankees were doing, he wouldn't be afraid to tell you.
Today we're going to speak to Miss Israel. Big story in yesterday's New York Post, where she ended up at some cafe in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. She's out of here already. She was here for a couple of days, some big Israeli meeting. She's in Tennessee this morning, but she was here for a couple of days, ends up in some Brooklyn, Williams.
And everything. And there's footage that shows the captain telling demonstrators that all Democrats are a waste of the human race.
Oh, my God. I want to have sex with this guy. I'm serious. He can do whatever he wants to me. He's got a full hour. Do what you want. Sorry about the cut.
No, just cover that up a little bit with some,
Just put a bag over your head.
That's common with say.
Right. So, and then he starts to talk about smack about the mayor as well. Back and forth. And so, of course, these guys are taping it and they put it up on their social media platforms. It goes viral. It gets back to the NYPD and they say, wait a minute, we have a rule that prohibits officers from publicly expressing personal views about political parties while on duty.
I know the rule. The rule goes out the window when the mayor does not have to abide by the same exact rule when it goes the other way. Right, that's my feeling. If you want to have a rule, then make sure the mayor, he respects the police the way they expect the police to respect the mayor, and the mayor does not do it.
I don't disagree with you, anything you say there, but I don't want my police officers expressing their political views when they're on the scene, when they're in uniform. They shouldn't do that.
I don't want my
He can do that
officers.
afterwards. He can, when he has plain clothes on, he can go to any rally he wants to. He can talk about, smack about Mamdani all day long. That's fine. But there's a problem there that you want your police officers to at least have the appearance that they're impartial.
Why? Why lie?
Okay,
so sick and tired
wait
of
a second.
lying.
So let me do this then. So let's change the narrative. Let's say it's a Republican mayor, and you have a police officers there at a rally where people are upset at the mayor.
No,
what if the police officer's saying that Republican, he's a putz, all Republicans are lazy, I hate Republicans? You wouldn't like that.
I wouldn't like that. No.
Okay, so then it goes both ways.
No, it doesn't.
So that's why doesn't it go both ways?
Because we don't have a Republican mayor right now.
Right. But
you're making up these crazy hypotheses that
we've
don't had
exist. Republican mayors.
And there were no issues.
There was Bloomberg,
and there were no issues because people knew how to behave. Now they're encouraged by this
Don't
TSA.
disagree. don't disagree with anything you're saying there.
Sympathizing Democrat, son of a bitch.
I just don't want my police officers telling me how they feel politically when they're on the job.
I do. I want my police officers
Okay,
to
that means it goes both ways.
No, well, we'll worry about it when there's a Republican
What if
mayor.
you're mayor? What if you decide to run for mayor and you win in 3 years from now? You're okay with your police officers who work for you, by the way.
That's
the
right.
way, police officers answer to the mayor, right? The first the police commissioner, then the mayor.
Every police officer will love me.
They work for the city. We pay them. The taxpayers pay them.
I understand. They will love me. All of them. They will love me.
Not everyone will.
Well, guess then I'll.
And then what if one stands outside City Hall in uniform and talks about what a jerk you are and that you're stupid and you got a weird thing on your head?
Right, sure. Then I would call Jessica Tisch, or just like Mamdani does,
right?
And I'd say, make sure that guy's taken off the job. If you don't think Mamdani does that stuff with Jessica Tisch all the time, you're somewhere between naive and stupid and closer to the latter.
But let me point out, there's probably not a police force around the country that will let you talk about your political views while you're on the job.
And there's probably not a mayor around the country who is as nasty publicly as Mamdani. So that's it.
I don't, but that doesn't mean, unfortunately.
We'll worry about it the next time. Right now,
when you take the oath of
we've
office,
got a mayor who visits the perps.
When you take the oath to become a police officer, you're there to protect everybody. And if you don't want it to look like you're not going to by
I want
this appearance of bias while you're in
all these Democrats that run on defunding the police, right? All these Democrats. And then when the window breaks at 3 o'clock in the morning, who do they call? They call the cops.
Of course.
Well, I want the cops to stop showing up. I'm sorry. That's the way I really feel in my heart of hearts. If you're out there every day bashing the cops, then you clearly don't need the cops, and the cops don't need you. I don't need the cops to represent every person in this city. I need the cops to represent the people in this city who appreciate them because they do protect them. Listen. When the cops, the racist cops, that's all I hear, cops are racist. Right, Al Sharpton? When the cops ran inside the World Trade Center and the buildings were burning and eventually coming down, I can promise you this. They didn't leave black people on the staircase.
No.
Okay, so they go out of their way to represent everybody, but it's okay for this piece of garbage mayor and these Democrat officials in this town to talk bad about them. James Wilson is a hero.
Well, you may think so, but I think he should be talking politics on the job.
Well,
I don't think that they should punish him in any severe ways. They should go to him and say, listen,
been punished.
When you
to
became a police officer, you agreed to keep those things to yourself.
He's already been punished. The only reason to go to the Bronx ever is to go to a Yankee game. Otherwise, if they send you to the Bronx, you're being punished.
Arthur Avenue.
Yeah. Fine. The zoo, I guess. I don't know.
Arthur Avenue.
They got this poor bastard now taking 911 phone calls.
No, I don't think that's right. You can go and say, hey, sometimes
but that's
you're in a moment
point.
where people are really attacking you and you lose your cool. I get it, and especially in that job. Yeah. So, I don't know that he should be punished. Maybe he should just get a call from his upper management says, hey, you can't do that on the job, and then put him back out on the street.
Maybe we should give him a medal. Invite him to Frankie Russo's place when they honored me and Bo Dietl and Paul Morrow, and let's give Captain James Wilson some type of a lifetime medal for showing the balls and having the courage to do what every cop should do. A lot of these cops out there, not a lot, the majority, listen carefully, folks, okay? The majority of police officers feel exactly the same way James Wilson does, and nobody loves the cops more than me. Nobody. But the fact that this guy had the balls to say it, this guy's a hero. I know what you're saying, Noam, and in terms of the book and policy and all that, how can I argue with you?
Well, and the pendulum's going to swing back. Someday there'll be a Republican mayor.
When?
And you
hasn't been a
want
Republican mayor for 30 damn years.
Yeah, but there will be one day, maybe in 3 years from now, because people will be sick of this guy, that they'll vote for a Republican. And then you're not going to want the police officers talking smack about him. I guarantee you. We'll have the same conversation if someone does it. You'll call for that police officer to be fired.
Shot? What, are you kidding me? Anyway, that's Captain James Wilson. Where do you stand? Give us a call. 888. I'm just kidding, my God. All right, give me the Ken Griffin story. Ken is very upset, and he should be. Ken, the president, CEO of the Citadel Group, wants to spend about $6 billion, not far from here, 350 Park Avenue. You know the whole story. Mamdani does a commercial, this moron, right in front of Ken Griffin's house. It's bad enough to call out Ken Griffin by name, Imagine if it was John Catsimatidis or Bill Ackman. He calls them out by name, but then, in a real security issue, this idiot, the mayor, does a commercial in front of Ken Griffin's house. How do you do that? So Griffin said, listen, we are not that far removed in this city from the CEO of United Healthcare, a nice guy with children, innocent, nice man being gunned down in the street by Louis Mangione. The gentleman's name was Brian Thompson. Now, only in a place like New York, maybe Los Angeles, does a lowlife, coward murderer like Luigi Mangione become a hero. And Brian Thompson becomes the bad guy. But that's what New York is filled with. So when the mayor goes out there and puts Ken Griffin's whole life, makes it public, you know that Ken Griffin is right. It is not safe. It's not safe. Put Ken Griffin in harm's way, which Ken said yesterday on CNBC, Lewis. This is cut number 5.
What really upset me about the video was the fact that he put me in harm's way. He seems to have forgotten that the CEO of another American company was assassinated just blocks from where I live in New York. And to put any citizen in harm's way is just inappropriate for one of our political leaders.
To say the least. Then he talks about the poor taste that Mamdani used, the poor judgment. This, Lewis, is Ken Griffin, courtesy again of CNBC, cut number 6.
Turn me into a political puppet was just in poor taste, really poor taste. The tax itself is a tax that discriminates against a narrow group of people is also disconcerting. You know, our company's thinking about making a $6 billion investment in New York City.
350 Park.
Right? Are they going to now have a special tax rate for those that own office buildings who live out of state? Like, where's this stop in New York?
Don't do it. That would be my advice to Ken Griffin. One more. He's talking about Miami. He's talking about taking that project to Miami, doubling down. Here he is again. Ken Griffin saying Miami over New York. Cut number 4.
What is no longer a point of discussion is that Miami is now, you know, when we moved from Chicago, there was a debate between New York and Miami. It's unquestionably true that we made the right choice. I'll leave it at that. It's unquestionably true that we made the right choice. And now what the mayor of New York has made clear to my partners, and principally my New York partners, is that we need to double down on our bet in Miami, because we want to be in a state that embraces business, that embraces education, that embraces personal freedom and liberty, and that embraces people having an opportunity to live the American dream. And a dream of earned success, not a dream of redistributive handouts that leave people dependent on government for their lives and their livelihoods in a way that takes away dignity and honor.
Amen, Ken Griffin. So this mayor, right now we are drowning in a $5.4 billion deficit. He's begging for money like a hooker, begging for it. Hochul, Trump, somebody save me. So let me think about that. You know what would be good? If I got a guy that wants to actually spend money in the city, create jobs, do all the things that Mamdani in New York City needs, let me take that guy and humiliate him and put his life in danger. That's Mayor Mamdani. What do you think Ken Griffin does, no?
I think he'll stay here and invest the money here. I mean, because he didn't come out outright say yesterday that he wasn't going to invest in New York.
No, he did not. You're right. He did not. All right, Bruce Blakeman called this show yesterday about 6:30 in the morning. He was on his way to the White House, keeping with New York politics. That's why we get the big ratings. He's running for governor. He's up against Kathy Hochul. The latest poll has him dropping a little bit, which is shocking to me. What has Kathy Hochul done well in the last couple of weeks? That she went up. Her lead goes from 13 to 16. But the good news is her unfavorables are at 41%, which is a very high number. Blakeman did meet with the president yesterday. Here is hopefully our next governor, the current Nassau County executive and a brother of mine, Bruce Blakeman, talking about his visit with President Trump. This is cut number 11.
We're talking about economic development, cutting utility costs, and making for safer communities. So thank you, President Trump, for the meeting.
And now Kathy Hochul, well, not now, but after Blakeman met with Trump yesterday, she came out. She had a couple of words for Bruce Blakeman, which included basically describing Bruce Blakeman as President Trump's puppet. This would be Kathy Hochul, the wretched governor, cut number 9.
He's going to get his marching orders. He's got to find out what Donald Trump wants him to do in the state of New York, because this would be what he would do if he was to be ever elected.
And they said, well, wait a second, Kathy, baby. Kathy, sweetheart, you've talked to President Trump. You've met with President Trump. She said, no. It's different. This is Hochul, cut number 10.
I go to have a fight. When I show up, it's to say, we don't want this, and try to find a way to get money turned back on.
So nobody loves President Trump more than me. Nobody loves the cops more than me. President Trump more than me. Nobody. But according to this Marsha Kramer report yesterday, he polls at about 33% in New York. Now, he did well. He did a massive improvement from where he was and other Republicans have been for many years in New York, but still lost. He didn't win New York, okay? And the question becomes how much President Trump in New York is good. We just saw, for example, my friend Jack Ciattarelli get his ass handed to him, lost by 13 points to Mikey Muhammad Sherrill, and Ciattarelli basically banked his whole campaign on a Trump endorsement. Got about 5 of those. So the question really becomes, as much as I love President Trump, Bruce Blakeman is clearly a Trump guy. This is not Indiana. I know last night that 5 Senate potentials all won their primaries, all backed by President Trump. They all 5 of those challengers beat the incumbents. So President Trump had a big night in Indiana. This is not Indiana. The question becomes, Noam, does the Blakeman close relationship with President Trump hurt him here or help him?
Well, it's clear that Hochul's going to make it a referendum, the election, because she doesn't have a lot to show. She'll make it a referendum on Donald Trump.
Which is exactly what Mamdani did, don't forget.
Yeah.
He did the same thing.
Successfully, by the way.
And he beat Cuomo, and he just savaged the other guy, Beret Boy.
She needs to really run the table here in New York City, and maybe she thinks that's the best way to do it, because it's a much harder election for Bruce Blakeman. He's got to win a certain percentage of voters here in New York City. He's got to really win out on Long Island and Westchester. And then, of course, upstate he'll do okay. But there's so many, the vast majority of New York voters are right here in New York City. So it makes it tough. And so clearly her strategy is going to be to run against Donald Trump, not against Bruce Blakeman.
Yep, that seems to be the plan. Talking about Donald Trump, let's take it now to the national news. So according to Marco Rubio yesterday, it looks like Operation Epic Fury is over. How about that? The conflict, the war in Iran, according to Marco Rubio yesterday, is over. Here he is, the Secretary of State. My choice. My overwhelming, enthusiastic choice to be our Republican nominee in 2028. Get J.D. Vance the hell out of there. Marco Rubio, cut number 12.
The operation is over. Epic Fury, as the president notified Congress, we're done with that stage of it. Okay, we're now on to this project of freedom. As far as a negotiation is concerned, I think the president's been clear that part of the negotiation process has to be not just the enrichment, but what happens to this material that's buried deep somewhere that they still have access to if they ever wanted to dig it out. That has to be addressed, and that's being addressed in the negotiation. I'm not going to go further on what progress has been made on that topic because I don't want to endanger the negotiations, but suffice it to say that the president and this entire team is aware of the centrality of that question, and that will have to be addressed one way or the other.
Yeah, of course. On Iranian television last night, they said the U.S. did not achieve their goals. And did we? They still have enriched uranium? Still have it. Yeah, there's a Navy blockade with the Strait of Hormuz, but as soon as our ships leave, Iran will be in control of that again. Unless we never leave, I don't know. And even though we wiped out a whole bunch of their leaders, there are still dangerous people calling the shots. So all these questions that are coming from Americans, 67% believe that the president did not accomplish what he wanted to in Iran. Again, I'm pro-Iran conflict. I was all for it. I think President Trump showed a tremendous amount of courage. He did something that many presidents promised. they were going to address Iran, many of them, Biden, Obama, dating all the way back to Bush, and they did nothing. President Trump did something about it. He deserves to be credited for that. But, as I told Brian Kilmeade off air this morning, now, as I said a couple days ago, we're getting to the Nancy Guthrie stage. And that is, people don't want to hear about it anymore. They don't want to hear it. So if the war is over, all they want to hear is this. When are my gas prices coming down? Right? When is the price of oil coming down? When will inflation, even though much better under Trump than Biden, come down? When are the interest rates, maybe when Walsh takes over, when do those come down? When does life become more affordable? They don't care about the Strait of Hormuz, even though that does matter in that explanation. Does that make sense? No.
Yeah, well, I think most Americans look at that as just a world that's so far away they can't relate to it at all.
Right. So Rubio talked about Project Freedom. Do you know what that is?
Project Freedom, yeah.
Yeah. What did you say?
I do know. Project Freedom, you're talking about the closing of the strait and trying to keep it open? Is that what you're talking about?
I guess. I mean, no one knows. That's my point. I asked you that on purpose. Because the messaging that has come from the White House, I know Pete Hegseth does these briefings on Fox News, 8 o'clock in the morning, a couple of days a week. No one's watching that. Maybe 2 million people. Maybe 2 million. So Project Freedom, just so you know, Marco Rubio said, we're done with the war. We're moving on to Project Freedom. What's the problem with that? Yesterday, President Trump paused Project Freedom. Here's my friend Jesse Waters-Lewis. This is cut number 13 on a show on Fox News last night explaining Project Freedom. We hit a pause.
Fox News alert. The president says, based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, we have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed. We suspect the president is letting the Iranians save face. The enemy just yesterday said they controlled the strait. That was obviously a lie. And watching the Americans escort ship after ship out of the Gulf and them not being able to do anything about that was going to be humiliating. Not only were they going to lose whatever military prestige they had left in the region, their negotiators weren't going to be able to fight for their position after they lost their last bargaining chip. The commander-in-chief must believe that the Iranians are serious about surrendering if he's going to pause Project Freedom for the sake of the deal. Because you could also continue Project Freedom during the negotiations. You know, you do want to get these foreign ships moving.
No, God, Jesse. Jesse is so far up Trump's ass, like I am. He's checking for polyps. He's all over himself. Well, he could have kept Project Freedom, and, you know, the Iranians are humiliated. Jesse, will you stop it? They don't care. The Iranians are humiliated. They don't care. Truth is, they feel like they're winning this. Because every time we stop the war, pause Project Freedom, that gives more credence to the tons of people, even here in the United States, that say, we're stuck. We are stuck. They're not humiliated, Jesse. They don't care. And honestly, even though you're a very, very smart guy, kind of cute, you run a nice show, you did not explain to anybody there why it really is pause. Why? Because he wants to see the Iranians save face. You know how sick and tired Americans are of hearing that? They wanted to see a light show, blow those bastards up, not kill innocent civilians. No. But send a message. Send that message you've been promising to send for the better part of 2 months, which he never sent. He sent it on that Saturday morning when we started the war, which I was thrilled to see, and I'm still behind that decision. But since then, it's been one pause, one stop, one extension, one excuse after the other. And Iran is not humiliated. They don't care. What am I missing, Noam?
Nothing. I mean, you'll remember on that first day of the war, he said the president said it's time for regime change. And he told the people of Iran, here's your chance, maybe at the first time or the next time in the 50, 100 years to take your country back. And so there was a thought, well, wow, maybe this will happen. People will rise up and take the country back. But that doesn't happen.
It does not happen. Oh, we got to wrap this up. It's been a 53-minute opening segment. So What a way to start the morning, huh, folks? How lucky are you? We got a big guest list coming your way today. We'll get to the great Congressman Peter King early today in the 7 o'clock hour. Before it's all said and done, the great Charlie Gasparino, my favorite sports talkie ever, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, part of that amazing Mike and the Mad Dog combination. Russo's going to be here today. We're also going to talk to the relentless patriot and great artist Scott LoBaido, and the big one coming up at 8:50 this morning after that big story in yesterday's New York Post. The lady that had no idea she'd be sitting next to the mayor's wife at a cafe in Williamsburg, but she did. The mayor's wife found out she was Israeli. Things changed.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The right fielder, Jermaine Dye, plays very deep. They're trying to cut off the extra base hit, but anything in front of Dye probably falls in, and he is playing right near the right field line. Griffin is a little bit over in right center, and Andrew Jones way off the left field line. Understandably, they don't think the Yanks can pull Wohlers. It'll be a 2-2. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. Jones back toward the track at the wall. It is gone! A 3-run home run, and the Yankees have tied the game. Jimmy Leyritz did pull Wohlers, and he hit a 3-run home run over the left field fence. And the gritty Yankees have come all the way back, 6-0 down to tie the game at 6. Do you believe that?
John Sterling on the call. We did have that Yankee hero, Jim Leyritz, in the studios just 2 days ago. And my Yankees continue to play amazing baseball. They did trail the Rangers 3-1 last night, but went on to a relatively easy win. 7-4 the final. The Yanks just keep winning. Right now they've got 25 wins or 25-11. The only team in Major League Baseball that has won more games so far than the Yanks. The Atlanta Braves, they're up to an amazing start, too, 26 wins. But the Yankees, as Randy Levine pointed out on this show yesterday, we had the president of the Yankees on this show yesterday, and he points to one major happening that has put the Yankees on this unbeatable streak. And believe it or not, Randy Levine gives the credit to...
No, please don't.
Me. He said, I don't argue with the universe. Something cosmic has gone on here, Sid. Since you switched teams and left the New York Mets, who won 3 out of 4, mind you, but they suck. Since you've left the New York Mets behind and joined our family, we never lose. And he's right. And I've got to 5 games already this year, and I can't wait to go to the next one. My Yanks. So John Sterling was still paying respect. Later on this morning at about 8:30, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, many including me, feel the most entertaining sports talk radio host in the history of the business, part of that legendary Mike and the Mad Dog combination, now has his own channel, Mad Dog Unleashed on Sirius XM, does a lot of ESPN stuff with Stephen A. Smith, had his own TV show on the MLB Network for many years. Chris Russo, back with Sid this morning, and we'll talk Sterling, we'll talk Yankees, and of course, Game 2 tonight as the Knickerbockers. You talk about being impressive. They beat the Hawks by over 40 to end that series in 6. And Game 1 against the 76ers, fresh off Philly, winning 3 straight and shocking the world by beating Boston. The Knicks, I should say, beat them by 40. So Game 2 tonight from the Garden, Knicks and 76ers. But I forgot something last segment. While I was yelling about Captain James Wilson being a hero, I mean that. To me, he's a hero. God bless you, James. There's millions of New Yorkers like me who love what you did. The double standard, the mayor can say what he wants about the cops, then we'll say what we want about you. How about that, Mr. Mayor? So I did tweet something this morning, and my Twitter account, Miranda Devine says, is the best in the nation. Gets me into trouble a whole bunch. I love that. You can find my Twitter at Sid Rosenberg 19. That's at Sid Rosenberg 19. I eventually did put it on Instagram at Rosenberg.Sydney, on Facebook at Sid Rosenberg, and on Truth Social at Sid. But it started as a tweet at Sid Rosenberg 19, and Noam, because you kind of disagreed, not in heart, I know in heart you're with me, but you made the point that I can't argue. Policy is policy. But because you kind of disagreed, now you get the duty of reading my tweet this morning. Noam Laden, take it away.
And duty is right. I'm saying it because it's true. Captain James Wilson is a New York hero. That's right, I said it. Captain James Wilson, out of the 94, is a New York hero. F the BS double standard police policy here. By the way, those are the real words. The mayor gets to talk S about cops all the time. He visits perps in the hospital while shaming our brave men and women in blue. God bless Captain Wilson for speaking truth to power.
Oh, my God. Who wrote that?
I don't know.
I wrote that, bitches, and it's great.
Even with your brain injury, you were able to spit that out. Yeah.
Or maybe that's the reason why it got written like that.
Well, hold on a second. Are you guys making fun of a serious brain injury which I sustained last night? Are you serious?
Not me.
I'm worried.
You know, most people never would have been here today. They'd be in who knows where, maybe even undergoing some type of life-saving surgery. But no. On a day where there are 3 stories involving Mamdani, I'll risk my life to speak to this audience, which I think I'm doing this morning.
You are. You're at critical mass right now. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
You could fall back.
I could just stroke out right now, yeah.
Well,
don't count on it. All right, we'll take a break. We'll let Nomi do the news. Then we've got, 5 or 6 amazing guests coming up. I love today's guest list. Peter King, Charlie Gasparino, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, Scott LoBaido, who, by the way, will be on Bo Dietl's podcast today. Scott LoBaido and Bo Dietl.
That should be nice and calm.
Oh, that'll be nice and calm, yeah. And then Miss Israel herself, she's got the big story in the news. She bumped into the mayor's wife.
No, let me tell you something, bro. No, go here. Oh, yeah, you get your consultations in the bay and the back, and then it's got to make a picture about it.
This is Sid on Sports. Oh, my goodness. Sponsored by Peerless Boilers on 77 WABC.
Justin Ellick here with the sports update, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com. Find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built of boilers. Look ahead to tonight on the Hardwood, 7 p.m. start. Knicks welcome back in the 76ers at MSG, Game 2 of their Eastern Conference semifinals series. New York leading the series 1-0. They head in to Game 2 as 6.5-point favorites tonight. 9:30 p.m. in the Western Conference semifinals. Timberwolves and the Spurs will pick up their action. San Antonio, 9.5-point favorites there for Game 2, trailing the series 1-0. Last night on the Hardwood, out in Detroit, the Pistons beating the Cavaliers 111-101, so they jump out to a 1-0 series lead there. And in the Western Conference semifinals, getting underway last night between the Thunder and the Lakers. Thunder beating the Lakers 108-90 in Game 1 there. OKC jumping out to a 1-0 lead in that one. Let's head to the Hardwood in the Bronx. Jazz Chisholm Jr. had a go-ahead homer off Jacob deGrom in the 6th inning, and the Yankees beat the Texas Rangers 7-4 for their 5th straight win and 15th in 17 games. Taking the opener of that 3-game set, Ryan McMahon's 2-run homer tied the game in the 2nd after the Yankees fell behind 3-0 early. Paul Goldschmidt's 374th career blast in the 8th extended the lead. Rookie Elmer Rodriguez surrendered 3 runs over 4 2/3 innings before being optioned to AAA following the game. Hint, hint, Carlos Rodon heating up down in the minors. Brent Hedrick earned the victory, and David Bednar secured his 10th save by recording the final 5 outs. Up next for the Yankees to ready, Will Warren gets a start in tonight's middle game of this 3-game set. First pitch is scheduled for 7:05 p.m. from the Bronx. More news coming out of Yankeesville. They have announced yesterday that they will pay a season-long tribute to legendary broadcaster John Sterling by wearing a customized memorial patch on their uniform sleeves at the start of their next homestand. That begins on May 18th, after, obviously, they hit the road following this homestand. Beginning with that evening's game against the Blue Jays, Yankees will wear circular patches that bear Sterling's name and a microphone over a pinstriped backdrop. Very nice gesture there. Out in Colorado, the Mets, they got postponed last night due to 2 feet of snow out in Colorado. So you get a makeup date for tomorrow, May 7th. If they can clean it up out in Colorado, we'll see if they can get their contest in tonight. 9:20 p.m. start there. Freddie Peralta to start for the Mets in the 2nd game of a 3 game set. That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
You know what I'm thinking of doing is, in solidarity with you, putting one on my forehead as
That
well.
would be kind of cool.
White bandage.
That would be nice, actually. You should do that. Like the whole show. Louis got a lot of hair, but he's got forehead.
We got foreheads.
You can push that hair back, and the whole show should do it. That's very nice of you, Noam. Thank you.
But
But you're just thinking about it. You're not going to do it
No, I
because
might
you'll
go
look
ahead and
stupid
do it.
like I will.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, we'll all do it if that's.
Yeah, that would be nice.
No problem.
Be nice, a little solidarity once in a while instead of you making fun of me all morning long, which I get wherever I go. I sit at dinner at night. I got Danielle, Ava, Gabe making fun of me. I come to work in the morning. I've got Noam, Justin, Lou making fun of me. Thank God Joe Nolan stays out of it. So I can't go anywhere without people making fun of me in a big white Band-Aid in the middle of my head like I felt playing shuffleboard in Delray Beach. Doesn't help. Seeger's 81 today. Don't forget, big story from yesterday, Miss Israel. I love this story. I love it. Miss Israel is in a Williamsburg, Brooklyn cafe on Sunday. And it just so happens she sits next to, coincidentally, she sits next to, in the cafe, the vile, wretched, grotesque wife of Mamdani, this Rawa Duwaji. And they start talking, and it starts off just fine until Miss Israel tells Duwaji that she's Miss Israel. And as soon as Duwaji hears Israel, the hate takes over. And the conversation was over. But there had to be some more than just what the Post gave us yesterday. So I wanted to get her on today, because I assume that everybody in Israel or involved with Israel knows me and loves me, except for the lib Jews, of course. So I reached out to Emily Austin, and I reached out to Ghazal Mizrahi. Remember her, right? Young girl who sang America the Beautiful from Iran.
Great, too.
She's terrific. Turns out, I guess it was Ghazal who was able to contact Miss Israel. Her name is Melanie Shiraz, and she's going to join us coming up this morning from Tennessee at about 8:50. So we got 5 great guests in a row coming up. Peter King, Charlie Gasparino, the legend Christopher Mad Dog Russo, Melanie Shiraz, Miss Israel, and Scott LoBaido. All that coming up.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We're talking about economic development, cutting utility costs, and making for safer communities. So thank you, President Trump, for the meeting.
He's going to get his marching orders. He's got to find out what Donald Trump wants him to do in the state of New York, because this would be what he would do if he was to be ever elected. I go to have a fight. When I show up, it's to say, we don't want this, and try to find a way to get money turned back on.
That was Bruce Blakeman, the Nassau County executive, hopefully our next governor here in New York, after leaving a meeting with President Trump at the White House yesterday, followed by Kathy Hochul, and nobody knows Bruce and Nassau County better than the guy that I often say, and maybe not in this order, King Giuliani King, the 2 best politicians in my lifetime, former Congressman, Homeland Security, and all in all American hero, my friend Peter King. Peter, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. But after those kind words, I feel bad in saying this, but with all the issues affecting the world today, I don't care about your brain injury, okay? I really don't. First of all, it's such a small item. How can we even know if it's there? And we're worried about it. I mean, forget it. Forget it. Drop it. Put the bandage over your face. Nobody cares.
You will never, ever, ever have a better radio start than that. Just so you know. You've won. Congratulations, Pete. That was hilarious. Put the whole bandage over your face. Nobody cares. I think you're right. That was very, very funny. Thank you for the kind words. I did mention you and Giuliani, and I was told not to say who it was, but somebody from the Giuliani camp actually called me from the hospital yesterday. And just to say thank you for all the kind words you say about Rudy. Rudy hears it. Andrew tells him he listens, he loves you, and he's in better shape, and he's really out of danger at this point. And he may be home in a couple of days, which made me very happy. I know it makes you very happy because, again, Pete King, Rudy Giuliani, kind of interchangeable. Amazing, Pete, when you find out that the priest was ready to read Rudy's last rites at his hospital bed on Friday or Saturday, and now he may be coming home in a couple of days.
Well, listen, there's always exaggerations about people, but there's no exaggeration to say that Rudy was the greatest mayor New York ever had. And not just a guy who made things good, a guy who saved the city. There would be no New York if Rudy Giuliani had not been elected mayor in 1993. I mean, many people forget or never knew how bad it was in New York City in 1990, 1991, 1992. It was absolutely terrible. I mean, people were actually asking, can you govern New York? Is it ungovernable? He turned it around. He did it with almost no support from the media, no support from the elite. He did it on his own with, again, I say on his own leadership with great people around him, stood with the police, stood with the firefighters, stood with the working men and women in the neighborhoods and got the job done. And also, I've known Rudy for many years. What you may not know is Rudy and I first met in 1967. He and I were summer interns in Richard Nixon's law firm. And
wow.
And there were 12 interns, and they divided us in 6 teams of 2, and Rudy and I were stuck together. And we fought half the time. Rudy was a very contentious guy. I was too, but he was a great guy. He was smart, one of the smartest people, if not the smartest lawyer I've ever met. And he really was the guy could get to the guts of an issue, tear it apart, and then rebuild it. But he and I used to go back and forth on the train every day to work, and so I really got to know him well. And then, of course, we became mayor, and then I was very active in his campaign for president. And you mentioned Randy Levine. I remember Randy and I were down with Rudy in Florida last weekend of his campaign in 2008. And what struck me then was the people who were there campaigning with Rudy were people that had worked with him for years in the mayor's office, going back 15 years. So he really kept people around him. He had a strong cadre of people who really stood with him no matter what. And so, listen, I am so glad that he is coming out of this. And actually, he did get the last rites. The priest gave him the last rites. If he got the last rites, they thought he was going to die. Now, you get them again if you live.
Right.
But he did get the last rites.
He did.
Really something very severe, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I wish him well. And again, New York will never, ever really fully pay the debt that it owes Rudy Giuliani. And when he went through the last few years, nobody should have had to go through all that. I mean, just the way they went after him, I say they, I'm talking about basically the media, the political class, was really unfair. And again, this guy saved the city.
He really did. I'm being reminded by my friends at University of Manhattan, University, that Rudy A. Jasper, just like Ray Kelly, and also Mike Lawler. But right. So the question becomes now, it was bad in 92, 93 when Rudy took over. And like you said, did a remarkable job and saved the city. He took over 9 years before his unbelievable leadership during 9/11, and already by that point had started to save the city. It was bad then, but it may be worse now. I know this is a hypothetical, but could Rudy Giuliani, they turn back the clock 20-something years, could a younger Rudy Giuliani walk in here in 2029 when Mamdani is done destroying whatever's left after de Blasio and Adams? Could he save the city again?
It would be certainly much more difficult. For one basic reason is that the city council then, he was able to work with them. People like Peter Malone, you did have mainstream Democrats that you could work with. Today, the city council, except for 4, 5, 6 people, it's beyond hope. So that would really make it tough. But what he would do is he would change the debate. He would make it a fight, and he would probably begin it. It would take him longer to get it done, and it would take like another election to get it done. But I think he could. Listen, I had lunch yesterday with Vicky Palladino. And, when you talk about Joe Cairo and I had lunch with her, we have to go all the way to Queens. Vicky calls her shots. We have to travel into Queens to have lunch with Vicky. But it was great. But it was great to the extent of being informative. But you realize, especially on the inside, how bad things are in the city government today, how it's totally chaotic. It's really in so many ways anti-American, anti-all these standards that really normal people live by. So it's really the people have lost control of their government, and we have to get it back. So it's not just one person. Rudy would be the best person to have in there, but then you'd have to really get the city council back, get some of the state legislators back. I mean, in those days also the Republicans control the state Senate. So, and then for part of that time, George Pataki was, in fact, the entire time that Rudy was mayor, George Pataki was the governor, so he had a Republican governor, Republican state Senate. He had a very middle of the road, normal city council he could work with, and so it's really tough. The city is in rough shape now. I mean, really, you look at shining lights. Obviously, Jessica Tisch is one, but it's hard to find anyone in a real position of responsibility. The Republicans on the city council are doing the best, but they're outnumbered, 46-5. I mean, those are
not even close.
Bad odds, no matter how you look at it.
And of those 46, 24 are complete lunatics and progressive lunatics. And that brings me to a story that I've been covering all morning long. I have now dubbed Captain James Wilson out of the 94 in Brooklyn. He's been demoted now to the Bronx or some nonsense. He's a hero, okay? And I know that there is policy, and that's fine, okay? So maybe Tisch, the NYPD, had no choice. But I don't like the double standard. Why is it okay for the mayor to constantly criticize the police, go visit perps in the hospital, and on top of that, the city council, they hate the police as much as the mayor does. So when James Wilson gets caught saying to somebody at a protest, some loser, how much he's embarrassed by the mayor and the city and he hates Democrats, this poor bastard gets demoted. The city council members on Twitter this morning, every one of them are killing this poor cop. And I don't care what they do to him. As far as I'm concerned, Peter King, Captain James Wilson out of Brooklyn, he's a hero.
Yeah, I mean, listen, under our standards, there's always civilian control of the military, civilian control of the police, and basically civilians can say more than cops can. Having said that, it's always been the unwritten rule that, yes, cops don't speak out on political issues, but mayors don't go after the cops the way they are. So Mayor Mamdani has really broken the unwritten rule. Now, the captain may have technically violated the written rule, but Mamdani has time and again violated the unwritten rule that you don't have the mayor of New York attacking his own police department, and in the worst way. It's one thing if he said, I disagree with their tactics, I disagree with their strategies, but to basically say that they're racist, they're bigots, that they're anti-Muslim, they're anti-gay, I mean, all of that stuff he said, and then when you had that demonstration at the hospital the other day, it was a riot, and ICE wasn't going after anyone. This guy was a violent criminal. He was in the country illegally. He had violent crimes. And they were taking him to the hospital for treatment. And then when it was in there, you had these neighborhood agitators stirring up this mob of animals to come out. And to me, this isn't even looked upon as something like a 50-50 or something to debate. It was wrong. And every cop there did the right thing. Those people had no business being there. It was terrible. And to me, I wish they could have locked them all up and the judge given them all prison time. Absolutely great.
Too.
I mean, it's really terrible. I'm just trying to think back years ago. My father was a cop. He wouldn't know what I was talking about if I said this was going on.
Crazy.
They had brought in a guy who was a criminal here illegally, had violent crimes. They were following the law, and then you have hundreds of people in the neighborhood coming out, throwing stuff, and it's total chaos and violence. It's just incredible that the media doesn't give it the coverage it deserves. The extent that it was evil, it was wrong. The cops have nothing to explain themselves for. The cops were doing the right thing, and they probably should have done more.
I agree. I want to get back to the audio I played for you when I introduced you, and you were very funny. Bruce Blakeman, after he left President Trump at the White House yesterday, you're a Nassau County executive for the second time now, running for governor. And he had a nice meeting with Trump yesterday. Then I played Hochul, who's like, he gets his marching orders from Trump. And yes, I talked to Trump, but it's not nice. I yell at him basically and say, give me my money. Trump says to me on this show, I got to tell you, Sid, when I talk to Hochul, she's so nice. She's so nice. And then the next morning, she goes out and starts killing me in the media. So she's a coward and a liar. But while her unfavorables have gone up, that's good news for us. She's up to 41%. Her lead, at least in the polls, has gone from 13 to 16. And I know we're going to talk about how polls don't count. I'm tired of doing that. They do. And a 16-point lead is a bit much. Are you concerned about the latest numbers, or do you remain very confident and hopeful, like I do, that Bruce will be our next governor?
Well, I'm hopeful, and I'm confident. Listen, obviously, you'd always like better numbers, but Siena is historically a biased poll, but also within that poll, 67% of the state said that Hochul's taking the state in the wrong direction.
Yes.
67%. That's a tremendous number. And also her unfavorables, now they're 46%. They've gone up. So it's hard to see how your unfavorables go up and yet your lead increases. And also Bruce is still winning among independents, which to me is key. So if she's under 50%, and there's all these rules in politics, some are made to be broken. But one of them is if you're the incumbent and you've been in office more than a few years, and your favorable numbers, your numbers are under 50%, then you're in trouble. So that means that it's really up to Bruce now, not just up to Bruce. He's doing what he has to do, but the people behind Bruce, the people who support Bruce, and the people who are against Hochul to get the vote out. It drives me crazy. People say, oh, Bruce should be going here, Bruce should be going there. This is a big state. He's going everywhere.
He is.
He can't be everywhere at the same time.
Right.
So it's up to you. I would say you. I'm sorry, the people who say they support Bruce or want Hochul
Right.
out, for them to do the job, get out there and stop bitching and complaining and work hard for him and say, how do I get it done? Don't be saying, oh, he should be in Schenectady instead of Secaucus.
Yeah, but like you said, he is there. He's been going to Utica, Schenectady, Rochester, Syracuse. He's up there with Todd Hood all the time.
I'm saying you can't be in both places at the same time.
Right.
Somebody's downstate, they're saying it should be upstate. When he's upstate, they say it should be downstate. No, listen, there's so many critics out there, and I'm talking about on our side, who should be just standing behind him, getting behind him, giving this guy credit. He's going everywhere, and he's getting screwed by the state. Yeah, they didn't give him the matching funds. He's fighting that in court, which was absolute robbery. I mean, you talk to even Democrats, honest Democrats privately say this was a raw deal with Bruce Scott. So I think he's going to win that case. But he's got to. He will continue doing what he's doing. But we have to do more. We have to get out there and work. Joe Cairo is doing all that he can. Janine Driscoll is running for her own seat in Congress, but also running for Bruce. I mean, he has unified support from people that know him. But people who may not know him personally and just think he's a good guy and they don't like Hochul, they can't just sit back and complain and moan and talk about more being done. He's doing everything anyone could possibly do.
All right, last 60 seconds. Let's move to Iran. You're so good with this stuff. And I'm frustrated. I'm admitting it. I love President Trump. I love the fact we got involved in the war. It was the right move. I really do. I think he did a great job early on. But as this thing continues to go on and go on and go on, and all my Republican friends talk about it won't matter if he wins, they're wrong. It does matter. What matters is the timing. He can't win, if there is a win here, close to November. It'll be too late. So there is a timing issue, I believe, that is starting to go against us. He went to this Project Freedom, and now he's paused that. So every other day is a different excuse as to why he's giving the Iranians room to breathe, yet he keeps coming back with the same threat that I'm still considering blowing them to smithereens. I don't think the messaging is great. What does Peter King think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it is important that we are there. The president is doing the right thing. Also, I don't know what Steve Witkoff is doing as our main negotiator. I mean, this is not a real estate deal. This is something that goes back, in many ways, centuries with the mindset of some of the people in Iran. You have to have someone who really understands that diplomacy. And I say diplomacy. I'm not saying be diplomatic. I'm saying understand where these people are coming from, how you have to combat them, and how there's no such thing as compromise or being reasonable. They're only going to, quote-unquote, compromise if they think there's a gun to their head. And that's what has to be done here. So I'm not crazy about Witkoff being our chief negotiator. I think the president should be more direct in saying, hey, this is tough. It's not going to be over quickly. We'll do as quickly as possible. But also, even among Republicans, we have to try to be more supportive. I mean, going back to Munich when the British Prime Minister said his people didn't care about what happened in a faraway land. Well, the fact is it came back to bite them, more than bite them, almost destroy them. So, I mean, if we don't take care of Iran now, our children and grandchildren are going to be faced with nuclear war coming up in not too long a period of time. So it is tough. There's no easy answer. But I wish the president, stop calling off these temporary truces. Unless there's something going on we don't know behind the scenes. But we're counting on those guys being reasonable. Forget about it. They're animals. They're butchers. They're fanatics. They're ideologues. And so to the extent we have the military capacity, I think we do, we should go all out with the military, going there, destroying whatever they have, which can be used. And that should be able to undermine them, also do what has to be done, and also get more of the allies involved. Stop fighting with their own allies. Get them involved with the minesweeping. We can, after the war's over, we can all fight. But in the meantime, let's get it done now.
Couldn't agree more. Pete King, another amazing, amazing appearance. You're great every Wednesday. No different today. I love you. Peter King, great job. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good luck with your head.
There I was, just trying to reach down for the paper towels, I should say, and smashed my head really loud. They heard the thud upstairs on my granite marble, I guess, countertop and started bleeding profusely and did not have a chance to meet Lou and MJ at Pico's for a Cinco de Mayo cocktail. I don't drink anyway, but instead, there I was at City MD getting, what is the name of that stuff they put on my head to glue my head together?
Crazy glue.
Durabond?
Oh,
Crazy glue. Gorilla glue. But I'm okay. Pete was very funny this morning. Very, very funny.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Turn me into a political puppet was just in poor taste. Really poor taste. The tax itself is a tax that discriminates against a narrow group of people is also disconcerting. You know, our company's thinking about making a $6 billion investment in New York City.
350 Park.
Right? Are they going to now have a special tax rate for those that own office buildings who live out of state? Like, where's this stop in New York? What really upset me about the video was the fact that he put me in harm's way. He seems to have forgotten that the CEO of another American company was assassinated just blocks from where I live in New York. And to put any citizen in harm's way is just inappropriate for one of our political leaders.
Like he talked about, Ken, we're not that far removed in this city from a lowlife, a murderer, a coward who shot somebody in the back who was still beloved and revered by some of the people who live here. This goes to show you where we are as New Yorkers. Luigi Mangione murdered Brian Thompson. Nice man, father of two. Worked in the insurance business. You're angry. I get it. I'm angry too. I don't go shoot somebody. And so Mamdani does a video right outside where Ken Griffin lives. And what does Ken Griffin want to do? He wants to do a $6 billion project here in New York, which will bring revenue to a city that right now is $5.4 billion underwater. And all this guy talks about Mamdani is taxing. That's all he wants to do. He has no other plans. None. So Griffin is now considering taking that $6 billion 350 Park Avenue project, which also comes with a ton of jobs, maybe as many as 15,000 hotel stays, restaurant visits. All that goes away. And Griffin right now is really considering taking that project to Miami. In fact, we'll play this. This is Griffin doubling down on Miami yesterday, Lewis, once again, courtesy of CNBC, cut number 4.
What is no longer a point of discussion is that Miami is now, you know, when we moved from Chicago, there was a debate between New York and Miami. It's unquestionably true that we made the right choice.
Miami.
I'll leave it at that. It's unquestionably true that we made the right choice. And now what the mayor of New York has made clear to my partners, and principally my New York partners, is that we need to double down on our bet in Miami, because we want to be in a state that embraces business, that embraces education, that embraces personal freedom and liberty, and that embraces people having an opportunity to live the American dream. And a dream of earned success, not a dream of redistributive handouts that leave people dependent on government for their lives and their livelihoods in a way that takes away dignity and honor.
Well said. Amen. So, if I'm you, Ken Griffin, who did choose Miami over New York and did make the right choice, sorry, I came north from Boca, but had an opportunity I couldn't give up. He made the right choice, and I would suggest and recommend to Ken, don't do it here. Don't do it. Take those billions, put it in Ron DeSantis' economy down in South Florida, and screw New York City. Screw us. It's like I keep saying, as a recovering addict, you got to hit your knees. You got to hit rock bottom before there's any improvement. I got a brain injury. And this mayor, as long as he's in charge, he's only 4 months in, it's already a complete nightmare. We will hit rock bottom. I promise you that. We will hit it. So, Kenny, take your money, take your business projects, and go elsewhere. Talking about my brain injury. So I got this big white Band-Aid on my forehead. So Noam goes, you know what? In a show of solidarity, I'm going to put a big Band-Aid on my forehead, too. I don't believe you've done that yet, have you?
I have, actually.
Let me see. Oh, you have?
Yes.
This is unbelievable. I'm looking across the glass, and to my left to the newsroom, I love you guys, and both Lou Ruffino and Noam Laden, as promised, have placed Band-Aids right in the center of their foreheads. And I'm going to say this, and I do love you guys. That's very sweet. If I look nearly as stupid as both of you do, then I'm in for a long couple of days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it because you look worse. No question about it.
You guys are so cute. Seriously, I love you guys. That's so cute.
Well, it feels pretty good in case I actually hit my head. Now I've got something.
Yeah, now you're good. You're prepared. Noam's bald, so he knows how that goes.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Noam, you look cute.
Oh, thank you. Maybe I'll just keep it that way.
You know, a couple of, last month, I guess it was, March, the day of the St. Patrick's Day parade, I was shaving my head and I cut myself. And I needed a Band-Aid. I was bleeding then again profusely. And the only Band-Aids we had in the house were like Mickey Mouse, SpongeBob. So I show up at the St. Patrick's Day parade with all these regal New Yorkers with a Mickey Mouse Band-Aid at the very top of my head. But you couldn't see it because it was on the top of my head, unless you were Shaquille O'Neal. This one, where I bashed my skull into my granite countertop, this one is directly between the eyes. Right between the eyes. So, again, special thanks to Noam and Lewis for the love and solidarity. That's very nice.
I think we're going to have a fundraiser next. Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Sure. How much can we raise?
I don't know.
some GoFundMe for your
Well, we got to take a picture. 3 of us wearing Band-Aids, and 2 of you just because you love me. Thank you, boys.
Well, I like the look more so.
Oh, you like the look?
Yeah, so I think I might do it.
You may do this every day.
Sure.
Well, it's like, you ever see those people who wear those things on their nose, the Band-Aids? They go on airplanes and...
They're called, are they breathe right?
Strips. They're like breathe right strips or something, yeah. Strahan does that. And you look like an idiot.
No,
Bottom line.
You can't look good with that.
No, you look dumb. And there's no way that stupid Band-Aid works that well. I'm sorry.
I don't care if Joe Abood made it for you.
Yeah, Joe Abood.
It's not going to look...
No, it's not. All right, so Charlie's not stopping by. We've got 3 more amazing guests still to come. I'm real excited about all 3 of them. The amazing artist, relentless patriot Scott LoBaido in the 9 o'clock hour, but 2 amazing guests coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. The legend, part of that Mike and the Mad Dog combination, has his own show for many years now on Sirius XM, as well as a big profile now alongside Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. The great Christopher Mad Dog Russo Doggy, he's going to be here. And then a story that got a lot of attention yesterday. Miss Israel walked into a bar. Sounded like a joke. She said she's right. Miss Israel walks into a bar in Williamsburg, and just so happens she ends up sitting right next to a lady that hates Israel and the Jewish people maybe more than anyone. Maybe even more than her own husband. That's right, the wretched, vile First Lady of New York City. You know her as Rawa Dawaji. Miss Israel and Rawa are sitting together. What happens next? You're going to find out.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I just have a message for our fans. Last time we played the Knicks, it felt like this was Madison Square Garden East. So we're gonna need the support. Don't sell your tickets. This is bigger than you. We need you guys.
The 76ers have to find a way to win at the Garden tonight. They lost by 40 in Game 1. But I got bad news for our good friend Joel. I got a report this morning from my friend Isaac Krinsky. Well, I love this guy, Isaac. I told you this. This guy starts sending me emails at 4 o'clock in the morning, usually 5 or 6 a day, about some of the biggest stories. He sent me something that said, Joel, hope you're listening, baby. Game 3, the first game in Philadelphia, which I guess will be Friday or Saturday. I don't know, maybe Saturday. As of now, in terms of tickets they've sold outside of Philadelphia, 56% of the tickets sold outside of Philadelphia come from New York and New Jersey zip codes. Whoa. Mostly in New York is New Jersey. You got that Philadelphia crowd there, that Cherry Hill, Malton crowd. Mostly New York.
But I thought they put a system in place where...
You can still buy tickets. What is it, Noam, the secondary market?
Yeah, they were somehow restricting it to buy it from whatever their main ticket retailer is. I don't know who it is out in Philly. But the secondary market, no, they can't restrict it, so you can buy it on the secondary market.
Guess so. True.
Yeah, so the bad news for Joel is, odds are, your team will be down 2-0 because you got murdered game 1. And then you return home for a game 3, which will have, once again, lots of New Yorkers in the building. Us Knicks fans, we like to travel. So.
That's a pathetic statement to have to make.
Isn't that sad? Yeah. I was
saddest.
telling Keith Cantrowitz at the Yankee game the other night, because my son Gaby wants to go to a game so badly, and he loves the Knicks. That's his favorite thing in life, the Knicks. So Keith said, if you're smart, the Garden tickets are way too expensive. Way too expensive. Can't get a ticket. And quite frankly, the food at the Delta Club is a little overrated. When you go to Yankee Stadium and you have dinner in the lounge like I do every time now, thank you, Randy, they have shrimp, lobster, steak.
Yeah, now I've experienced it too, so now
it's like it destroys what the Knicks do at the Delta Club, So he goes, if you're smart, you'll save a whole bunch of money. It'll be easier to get a ticket, because unless you provide oral to Corey or Bill or Dr. Mark Siegel, you're not getting one.
Okay, I didn't catch that last part.
What is that now?
I don't
if you go to, you could take a train or a bus to Philly, be there in an hour, and then watch the Knicks beat Philadelphia on the road. And he said, I'll even drive you guys.
Well, you can park right there, and then when the game's over, you're right on 95. So you get back on 95, and you drive home. It's like the easiest thing in the world. It's an hour, 2 hours.
It's a brilliant idea by Keith Cantrowitz.
Yeah, after the 90 minutes it takes you to get out of the parking lot.
Not if it's half filled.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, it'll be filled. I mean, because
you'll have
the
New
Knicks
Yorkers
fans will fill it up. Right.
Right.
Either way, Keith, good idea. Get on it. So maybe game 4, 3 or 4. And Oranger, I know you're listening, the great Mark Oranger. Tell Keith.
I can see Mark Oranger driving a bunch of us down now.
He would do it in a heartbeat. Oranger would do it in a heartbeat.
I know.
He's the nicest guy ever.
Absolutely.
Ever.
He's the nicest person.
He wouldn't care.
No,
he would even sit there in the car for 3 hours during the game. He wouldn't care.
He just wants to tell stories.
Yes.
It's just, he's hilarious.
And he loves his friends, and we're his friends. So, you know what you do, Keith? Get the tickets and tell Oranger to drive. There you go.
When I was a Sixers fan as a kid. We had season tickets.
Really?
And, yeah.
Oh, you lived by Cherry Hill?
Yeah, I lived, closer to Philly than I did. I lived in Trenton, which is closer to Philly than New York. And when they had Dr. J, Andrew Toney, Moses Malone. I'm trying to remember who else was in that.
The great point guard, Maurice Cheeks. And like Lou said, the best sixth man in the league coming off the bench, Bobby Jones.
1983, they beat.
And the amazing coach, Billy Cunningham from Brooklyn, New York.
It was not sold out during that championship
No, never.
run.
I know.
So and you couldn't put a better team on the court.
Wow, that was a good team.
No, they were good. They were the best team ever, but they were really good.
They're really
you know
good.
who beat them, believe it or not? Same team you just mentioned, with a backcourt of Michael Ray Richardson and Ray Williams. But that's the Knicks. But it wasn't the Knicks. They also had Albert King, Mike Jaminski, Darryl Dawkins, the Nets. That was the Bill Fitch Nets, I believe. Not the Nets with Derek Coleman, Kenny Anderson, Mookie Blaylock. That was later. I think it was the Bill Fitch Nets.
After Fitch left the Celtics.
Yes. And I think that team, I know they beat the 76ers. That team that you're talking about, no. Believe it or not. The New Jersey Nets. I love that team. Michael Corrin, I loved him. Foots Walker.
Oh, wow.
Darwin Cook. Come on, baby. I think what's his name was there, too? Jimmy Spinarkel, I think. I don't know.
And were they playing at Rutgers still then?
They may have been somewhere in Piscataway.
It was Piscataway.
I don't think they were at the Brendan Byrne yet at the Meadowlands.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
But they were a good team.
Well,
That was a fun team.
They, because they played at Rutgers, they would give students tickets, a chance to buy tickets, and the students would sit underneath the backboard with Penthouse Playhouse, the Playboy Penthouse pictures, and hold it up underneath the basket as the opposing team was shooting free throws.
Really?
Yeah,
to bring that back.
them.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's go. I got to take a break.
Do it for Embiid. He won't care what fans are in the stands.
Right, exactly. He won't care, Joel. 3 great guests in a row about to come your way. The relentless patriot, the brilliant brilliant artist Scott LoBaido. We're going to talk to Christopher Mad Dog Russo, the legend, part of Mike and the Mad Dog. He's coming up next. And Miss Israel, big story in the New York Post.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, the entire stadium standing. Jeter singled cleanly between third and short his first time. So he is one hit away. He is at 2,999 as he stands in. And there's the chant, which you can hear in the background. Derek Jeter. Here comes the 3-2 from Price. Swung on and hit in the air to deep left. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. He's homered. Derek Jeter homers to tie the game. And there it is. Hit number 3,000. Derek Jeter has achieved another milestone in his Hall of Fame career. 15 playoff appearances, 12 All-Star games, 5 World Championships, and now the first Yankee to amass 3,000 hits. The captain, Derek Jeter.
If you were looking for drama, if you were looking for the moment, if you were looking for entertainment, that's what he gave you. And I think there were people who were critics, severe critics, and there were people who loved it. And I'll tell you this, as the years went by, I think the fans really grew to love the home run calls. The Yankees hit 1 million home runs every year. They loved the entertainment value of it, and they started to appreciate that and not worry too much about the descriptive analysis of a certain play.
The other thing that was funny about Sterling, with my old partner here, about the passing of John Sterling, legendary Yankee broadcaster, as Mike said, never missed a game in his life. He wouldn't want to dare miss a game in case he got replaced by somebody.
Yeah, he didn't want somebody else to do a game.
Yeah, he definitely did. He didn't want anybody else working but him. But the one thing about him, he used to whine a lot when the Yankees weren't playing well. And you never could argue with him because he had the guts to knock the Yankee. He got a little Harry Carey in him. Because if he didn't like what the Yankees were doing, he wouldn't be afraid to tell you. You got to give him credit for that.
Damn right you do. That's my Yanks, my guy John Sterling. I'm only one night removed from sitting there with Randy Levine in my Bucky Dent jersey, wrapping up the 4-game sweep of the Orioles. Yankees won again yesterday, came back from a 3-1 deficit, beat the Rangers 7-4, but you heard John Sterling's classic 3,000 Derek Jeter hit call. And then that legendary combination, Mike and the Mad Dog. They're both doing great today. Chris better. Mike has a podcast, but Chris is still doing tremendous work. Mad Dog Unleashed every weekday afternoon on Sirius XM. And he's got this gig with Stephen A., who's on this show quite a bit these days. Stephen A. loves it here. Talks more politics than sports. I love that. But Russo and Smith do a whole bunch of work together at ESPN. My favorite of all time. I do mean that. The great Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Chris, good morning, pal. How are you?
Good morning, Sydney. How you doing today? Things good?
Things have never been better. Things are great, and I know you're doing very well, too. So, listen, I'm going to say this, like I said a couple of days ago. He was not technically as good as Vince Scully or some of the other great baseball announcers. You mentioned Harry Carey. But I think people lose sight of the fact, Chris, because he gets so caught up in wins and losses and the billions of dollars that go to these players to win, that all baseball is, at the end of the day, Chris Russo, all baseball is another form of entertainment. That's what it is. And this guy, Sterling, like him or not, you got to admit, he was entertaining. So for me, he goes down as one of the all-time greats.
It makes you laugh. I mean, the Yankee win, the monikers for the Yankee players, those home run calls, an A-bomb for A-Rod. I mean, it makes you laugh. And I don't even like the Yankees. Never have, as you know. And I got a kick out of him, too. Burn, baby, burn. I mean, he was so enthusiastic. And when I met with the Harry Carey comparison, is that Carey was a character as well as Sterling was. But if the Cubs or the White Sox or the A's or the Cardinals, whatever team that he did, if that team was bad, he would not be afraid to call them out. And Sterling was the same way with the Yankees. When they were not playing well, long, bad stretches, he'd have no problem saying what he said and knocking them. And it's amazing when you think about it, is that he called every game of Derek Jeter's career. I was thinking about that yesterday. He called every inning, every at-bat, every game that Derek Jeter ever played for the Yankees. I mean, that is pretty amazing when you think about it. And whatever he had, 5,000 and some odd consecutive games in a row. So durability has got something to do with it, too. Now, I don't think John wanted anybody else to do the games with himself.
Right.
So I think a lot of it has to do with the idea that John's ego wanted to be part of the Yankees and didn't want to share it, so they got to be fair. But still, that longevity and durability does mean something. And, he's even doing the games 2 years ago, for crying out loud. When the Yankees got to the World Series and he called the home run with Freeman in the 10th inning when the Yankees lost Game 1 to the Dodgers. So just he's a quirky character. Bottom line, he's a quirky character. I knew him fairly well, socialized with him occasionally, and I think down deep he was a good person. He was a kind guy. He meant well, part of those great Yankee teams. I think Joe Torre meant a lot to him because Joe came in and he knew Joe from Atlanta. I think that helped. But he was really just very synonymous with the Yankee brand there in the 1990s and the 2000s is what it comes down to.
No, bottom line, and look, I like Dave Sims. He's a dear friend of ours and former WFAN colleague, teammate of ours, and he's great. Does a great job with basketball and baseball. Spent many years with the Mariners, but hey now is not doing it for me like the it is high, it is far, it is gone. So you look at the litany of all these amazing Yankee announcers, go all the way back to Mel Allen, Phil Rizzuto, all these all-time Yankee greats. And I hate to say it, Chris, maybe I don't hate to say it, but John Sterling may be right there near the very top of that list.
Yeah, I still think Rizzuto and his long Yankee run and, the mannerisms of Phil, holy cow and everything. I know Harry Carey used to get mad because he thought Rizzuto stole holy cow from him.
Yeah.
But, the fact that he played so long for the Yankees, won an MVP, Hall of Famer, broadcaster, I'd still put him number one. But Sterling was doing this for 30-something years, part of 5 championships. If you want to put him number 2, go ahead. I would put Scooter number 1 because he was such a character and everybody got a kick out of him. Sterling did have his distractors, but he's right there in that category. There's no question about it. And the Yankee fan loves him, and the Yankees did a nice job here. I mean, they put out a great statement. A couple nights ago. Major League Baseball put out a big statement. So he made his mark.
Yeah, well, I was at that game Monday night with Randy Levine the day after he passed away, and I saw Michael Kay and the great Susan Waldman with their flower bouquets by home plate. It was very emotional. And the Yankees and Randy did announce yesterday in the Steinbrenners that starting with their next homestand, which starts May the 18th, I guess, against Toronto, the Yankee players will wear a John Sterling patch with a microphone to honor Sterling the rest of the year. That's nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a nice send-off if you're John. No question about it.
And how about this team? It's become it was a big deal in the city for a couple of weeks. Here's Sid Rosenberg, spent 59 years as a diehard New York Met fan. As you know, Doggy, you're a Giant fan. Mike's a Yankee fan. Me and Beningo Met fans. And all I had to see was Mr. Met hug Mamdani, and I was gone. And now I go to Yankee Stadium just about every night. Randy Levine rolls out the red carpet. I've been there in an Aaron Judge jersey. This is unbelievable. A Bucky Dent jersey.
Sid, that's a little weak. I don't care. I don't care about the mayor. That's
I care more about the mayor. I don't do sports talk anymore. I'm worried about my children.
You're a fan. You can't be judging your fandom on who the mayor is and what he does and does not like, because the mayor is not going to be there forever, and the next mayor may be a huge Met fan. What are you going to do then? Jump back to the Mets?
I'm not going to jump back, but I will tell you this, dog. It's not just the mayor. I mean, the Mets canceled Jewish Heritage Night. They could have brought it back after October 7th. Steve Cohen is Jewish. And by the way, just so you know, Steve Cohen called me. He was upset that I did this. He called me on my cell phone. We had a very good conversation. So the Mets are hosting the Yankees May the 15th at Citi Field. Cohen has invited me to sit with him all night because he actually believes that some of my issues with the Mets are not out of line. They're not nuts.
I understand some of the issues with the Mets, and I don't disagree either, but I'm more wrapped up on just being a fan. When you grew up as a kid, you were a Met fan, and Met fans hate Yankee fans. And so for you to jump ship because of some things that are, listen, they're going to that's finite, not infinite. And for you to sort of bail on the Mets to join the hated Yankees, especially the Yankees at 25-11, that to me is a little weak. And I'm very surprised that you would do that to jump to the Yankees. I don't care what Levine does. I don't care if Cohen calls you, if you sit with Cohen. Sid, you're a sports fan is a sports fan. You don't change because of what is going on around you. You stick with your fandom. I'm surprised at you.
Are you mad at me? Oh, listen,
it's not the right thing.
Are you mad?
Not the right, that's like me being a Dodger fan. Now listen, I'm not the big Giant fan I used to be. I'll admit that. But I'm not a Dodger fan. Why would I jump to the Dodgers if the Giants did something wrong? What are you doing? You can't do that. That is ridiculous. I didn't know this. This is news to me.
What?
I didn't know that you're wearing Judge jerseys.
Yeah, Bucky Dent.
I didn't know that Randy Levine is putting out the red carpet. Really, Sid?
Swear to God.
And then you're going to sit there, and then you're going to go the other way when the Mets and hang out with Cohen when the Mets come to sit. How about sitting in the right field bleachers?
And to make matters worse, Doggy, when I go to the Met Yankee game at Citi Field and sit with Steve Cohen, I'm actually going to wear a Greg Nettles jersey. How about that?
Oh, come on, Sid. I'm trying to think what jersey you could wear that really ticked the Mets fan off. And Nettles, he represents the Yankees, so it doesn't do anything to hurt the Mets. But maybe you know what you do? A Yankee jersey, a Yankee strawberry jersey would do it.
There you go.
But what are you doing? I mean, really, that is sweet. And now you're getting up at 4:00 in the morning and you're going to Yankee games against the Orioles at Yankee Stadium.
That's right.
Sid, really?
Yeah.
Really? Sid?
Oh yeah. Listen, they provide me with a car home if I needed it, by the way. Just, the Mets wouldn't do that.
Which doesn't always happen, I understand. You've discussed that. But yes, City wants that ride.
Yeah.
To and from, not just two.
Not
he
easy.
Doesn't get that.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. You may continue, Sid.
All right. Well, listen, we'll discuss this more. It was everywhere, by the way. Fox News, the local channels, even the mayor was asked about it. But on a serious...
I have enough to worry about, Sid. Not to worry about if you're a fan of Leeds. That's ridiculous. You may continue. Go ahead.
I've also given up on Bruce Springsteen, but I don't want to make you any more angry than you already are. I want to talk about the Yankee team, actually. You mentioned the fact they've got 25 wins. Only the Atlanta Braves with 26 have won more than the Yankees in the early going. And look, they haven't even gotten Cole and Rondon back, and they are bashing people, hitting a lot of home runs, and pitching very well. When those guys are healthy, that is the best pitching staff in baseball. I always thought that the Yankees were the best team in the American League before the start of the year, but they couldn't beat the Dodgers. I'm not so sure anymore. Where does Chris Russo have the Yanks?
Yeah, I think you're making an excellent point. First off, Rondon is not a big deal. I think he's a bit of a negative. I don't think he's that good. Cole is something different, and they get him back. And if he's a Garrett Cole pre-Tommy John, that's very dangerous. I don't think the Yankee lineup is going to hit quality starting pitching because the McMahons, even Chisholm, who keeps both teams in the game sometimes, Grissom hitting 167. I don't know if the Yankee lineup is going to hit real quality starting pitching, but I do agree with you on one point. The American League is terrible. Seattle's 3 under 500. The Yankees always kill the American League Central. I mean, I don't take the Rays seriously to get to a World Series. So I don't know where anybody in the American League is going to beat the Yankees. And the Dodgers haven't played that well. You're 100% right. Now, the Dodgers didn't play that well last year either. And then they played, then they got in the postseason the way they went. But you're not going to be able to turn it on and off every year just because October shines. And you're right. The Dodgers are a little more vulnerable, and I wouldn't say that they are, by far the best team in the sport. And I don't know about the Braves either. So right now, the Yankees, it's been 17 years. It's about time. Right now, the Yankees are the best team in baseball. And Cole, especially him, with Fried and the young righty and Will Warren and everything else, they're going to be very difficult in the postseason, especially in the American League. And then we see what they do down the road here in the World Series. But I'm with you, Sid. They have a chance. This is a very, very good team. Now, I heard Girardi last night basically equate them to the 98 Yankees.
No.
That's a little strong.
Right.
Come on, Joe. I mean, Joe was on the 98 Yankees. That's a little out there. But this Yankee team is a very dangerous team. It's fueled with Judge, but they have excellent starting pitching. Bednar would worry me in a big game. Bednar, I know he's been good for the Yankees, and he was good in the World Baseball Classic, but he was demoted by the Pirates. He gives up a lot of contact. He would worry me in a big game, but the Yankees are very, very good, and I agree with you. They could win it all, 100%.
Short series, you throw Cole, Fried, and Schlittler. Good luck. They may be better than the 98 team in that respect, but as a team, that 98 team was one of the all-time greats.
The Dodgers in a short series, Blake Snell's going to be fresh as a daisy. He's not going to pitch all year. Ohtani will pitch in a short series, and then take your pick of Yamamoto, Glasnow, and everything else. Dodgers got great starting pitching, too.
That's pretty good.
And they'll have Diaz in the ninth inning, and the Yankees have Bednar, and Diaz is better than Bednar.
Good point.
So,
Good point.
Let's not run the Dodgers out of the equation just yet.
Yeah.
Because they proved that they can turn it on when they have to these last 2 years. But I'm with you, Sidney, on the Yankees, and I'm assuming you'll be sitting there at Dodger Stadium with Randy and the fellas in a Yankee jersey in games 3, 4, and 5, which is, or whatever 3, 4, 5, which is because the Yankees have the best record, which is an absolute unmitigated. What does Begino think about all this? Or Eusler, guys that you love, who are huge Met fans. What do they think about all this?
You know what it is? They're scared to argue with me. You know, even Beningo was, I kind of get it, Sid. It's a nightmare. It's a disaster. So I think they're scared to argue with me. I think in their own private moments, they think like you. What the hell is Sid doing? But good luck trying to debate me on this program, especially with the way the Mets have treated their fan base and all the anti-Semites in and around the Mets. So they cave in, doggy, but I think in their private moments, they're with you 100%.
The anti-Semites a little. I mean, the owner's Jewish.
Yeah, I know that, but you can't have Mr. Met. Mr. Met's an anti-Semite. Mr. Met hugged the mayor, and they canceled Jewish Heritage Night. Come on, doggy. Come on.
Don't take it so seriously. Watch the ball games and enjoy.
Well, they suck anyway. What good is watching the ball game? The team is terrible.
Well, I mean, that's what a real fan does. Why would you give up on them for crying out loud? You stick with them. I mean, with the Giants, I got bored. They won too much. 3 times it was my obsession, and they finally secured it in 10 when they beat Texas, and then they beat then of course in 12, and then in 14 I got bored. You should be rooting your ass off for the Mets.
Well, we'll see.
On you, Sid.
Well,
and you at Yankee Stadium,
I know.
Steve Torrey would go crazy.
I know.
You and Mike. Well, Mike can't be happy with this.
Well,
what's my old partner say?
Oh, I take Mike's seat. They've given up Francesa's seat just for me. That's how in I am with the Yankees right now. They are so happy. They're more excited to have me at Yankee Stadium than when they signed Reggie in 1977, I swear to God. That's how big this is. It's huge, Chris.
A little strong.
Yeah, maybe it's a little strong.
You're not hitting 3 homers in Game 6 of the World Series.
That's true.
Huff,
That's true.
I get it.
But I'm Bert Hooton, very good.
You are hot stuff.
2 more will run. Give me the Mets. Again, all kidding aside, they're awful. I know they won 3 out of 4. They got snowed out in Colorado last night. A lot of Met fans, they don't want to fire Carlos Mendoza. They want to fire David Stearns. They hate this guy. What are your thoughts on the Mets?
Yeah, he's done a terrible job. I hated the Nimmo trade for Simeon. Simeon shot. His last 2 years with Texas were terrible. He's 35 years of age. I didn't understand that trade. Polanco's old. He's hurt. That was bad. They got guys all over out of position. Bichette's not a third baseman. He hit eventually. He's too good. But, that was odd. Very odd. And Robert, I know they got him for nothing, but Robert's brittle, never plays. The Mets, and Senga stinks. I mean, Peralta's a 5-inning pitcher. He was very overrated. He never goes more than 5 innings.
True.
Mets are terrible. Yeah. And the Braves are too good, and the Mets never catch Atlanta. And the Phillies are starting to play better. So from that standpoint, they're in trouble from that. And the Mets are, now listen, the National League, from a postseason perspective, I mean, right now you've got to say Dodgers, Padres, Cubs, Braves, probably somebody else. Yeah, the Mets are dead. I mean, you're probably
they're
right.
dead. Who's actually much better than I thought they'd be. And again, it's early; they can go the other way. But St. Louis looks tough.
Yeah, very much so. And I'll tell you something right now. What is Lindor doing at the Knicks game the other night? Can somebody explain to me that?
There you go. Yep.
We all killed Soto for not texting the Mets when they lost 11-12 straight.
Thank you.
And Soto got pounded. Why is Lindor, when the Mets are playing the Rockies, why in the world is he he the Knicks game?
I don't know, but you're just selling my argument more and more. I mean, you're just selling it.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that for a mad about in about an hour and a half.
Oh, good. You should.
Why was he? For those who don't know, and I don't blame you if you don't, that's a little segment we do with Stephen A. on Wednesdays. But, I mean, why is he at the Met game? He shouldn't be at the Met game. He should be with the team. The Met game. The Knick game. Why is he at the Knick game? I couldn't understand that by any stretch. And Ben Stiller's another phony. He's at the Met Gala. He's, of course, Mr. Knick. Really? He didn't know who Dave DeBusschere is. He's at the Met Gala. He's at the Met Gala. And he's not at a Knicks second round, first round game against Philly. I mean, at least Chalonnet showed up. I mean, that's ridiculous, for crying out loud. All right.
Well, I'm not a big Ben Stiller fan to begin with. I thought he was a cute actor about 20 years ago, but politically, we're on completely different planets. So I'm with you on Ben Stiller. Look, a lot of those Knick fans are phonies. They show up because they get good seats. They're usually free. They don't care. But we'll wrap it up with those Knickerbockers. They blew the doors off the Hawks. Okay, in comes Philly. They won 3 straight. Unbelievable to knock out the Celtics. And you're saying Philly getting 8, game 1. They're going to stay in that game. Embiid and Maxey and George. And the Knicks win by 40 again. Now you're starting to think, wait a second. The Pistons did win last night, but they look beatable against Orlando. Cleveland is a fraud. Are the Knickerbockers destined to get to the NBA Finals?
Destined's a strong word, but they're the huge favorite. I don't trust Detroit. That series is more about Orlando than it was about the Pistons. You're Harden. I would never, ever have Harden on my team. So I'm with you there. I'll give Philly a little pass. That was a tough turnaround. Game 7. That was a huge win for that franchise. Never had come from 3-1 down to win a series, and they finally did it, losing the first 18 of them. So I'll give them a little break in Game 1. But yes, I thought the Knicks were going to win the series in 6 before it began, and nothing has changed my mind about that. Give Brown credit, and I was all over the firing of Thibodeau. I love Tibbs, and I thought he got a real raw deal. But listen, Brown's played his guys off the bench. They really responded in Game 4 against Atlanta. They're meshing at the right time. Now, listen, they're going to get killed by Oklahoma City. Maybe not killed, but they're not beating Oklahoma City. But I do think the Knicks should get to the final, and that's a hell of a story. It's a good job for them. And I think Philly will play better tonight. But, and you can scream about Embiid all you want, but Philly's got no bench. They have 4 good players, that's it. And George is iffy. One day he's good, the next day he stinks. He's very erratic. So I do think the Knicks will win this series, and they got a lot of momentum right now, so give them credit, 100%.
I do have an extra Thurman Munson jersey at home, Chris, if you have.
Come on, Sid, with this nonsense. Sid, I'm going to be honest with you, and I've known you for how long? 40 years?
Yeah.
35.
Yeah.
And I had a long night with you at the Teddy Atlas thing when you were moaning and groaning about the car services and the limos to and from. And at WABC, listen to me carefully, and I don't lie. I've been doing this for 50 years. Sid was very annoyed. Get him a ride home at night. But he made you plenty of money. You get him a ride there at 4 a.m., get him a ride home at noon. Especially on weekends. He likes to enjoy the sunshine out there in Coney Island, wherever he lives. But the bottom line is, that's true, Sid. Don't lie. From a standpoint of this Yankee thing, this is a disgrace what you did. I got to be honest. I guess I'm embarrassed I didn't know about it. I mean, I told you I'm in my little cocoon, and I should know this. Yeah. But you and Randy Levine breaking bread at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. What would Don Imus say? What would Bernie say?
Well, the I-Man, if you remember the I-Man, he was just like me in the respect that...
Yeah, he was.
All of a sudden you'd be a big Laker fan. How about my Lakers?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
I was the wrong guy. But Bernie wouldn't be happy.
Bernie? No. Hold on. I got to run. Jim Leyritz is here. He's got a jersey for me. I'm sorry, Chris.
I'll see you later, Cindy.
Christopher, I got to tell you, you're still the best ever. I love your work on your own channel. You're great with Stephen A. And I love when you're on this show. I miss you. You're terrific. I really do love you, Chris Russo. Thank you so much.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Everybody loved that discussion with my dear friend and former colleague and co-worker, Chris Russo. All right, this is the big story yesterday. Miss Israel walks into a bar in Williamsburg, and who's sitting there but the wretched, vile anti-Semite that is New York City's First Lady, Rawa Dawaji, the mayor's wife. So I reached out to all my buddies, Emily Austin, Ghazal Mizrahi, till I finally tracked down Miss Israel. Her name is Melanie Shiraz, and she's joining us live, which is very nice. right now from somewhere unknown. I'm not going to give away where she is because you're crazy, you people out there. So, Melanie, good morning on this Wednesday morning. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for hopping on this morning, and thank you for agreeing to do this. It's a big story here in New York, and now it's all over the internet as well. So,
yeah, it is.
It's a big deal. So if you wouldn't mind, well, first of all, you were Miss Israel last year. Are you still Miss Israel?
Yes. So Melanie Shiraz, Miss Israel 2025 through 2026. I still have a couple months left.
Couple of months left. Okay. And is Miss Israel like an annual thing? So somebody else next year? Is it 2 years? How long do you hold that title?
It's annual. It's annual in every country.
Okay. And where in Israel do you live? I'm curious.
I live in Tel Aviv, but I've actually been in the U.S. for the last 2 months because I got stuck because of the war, and then I ended up embarking on a speaking tour. So I've been doing that for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know you had a big speaking engagement here in New York just a couple of days ago. That's why you were here, and that's why you ended up in this cafe in Williamsburg. Now, did you know about that place? Did somebody recommend that to you? Why did you end up in that specific cafe?
So what brought me to New York was that I was hosting the Consul General and the Consulate of Israel in New York's annual Independence Day celebration, which was a very big event. And a few hours before that, I just decided I wanted to go have a coffee, have breakfast before I have to get ready for the event. So no, I just walked out of my friend's apartment that I was staying at, saw this cafe, thought it looked cute, and started sitting having my coffee, my breakfast, and maybe 10 minutes after that, none other than Rama Duaji walks in. And not only does she walk into the same cafe as me, she actually sits right next to me on a bench.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Yeah.
I said to myself, like, what are the odds? Like, there is definitely a reason that this is happening. I don't know if I believe in that kind of stuff, but there's no way I'm going to let this girl sit next to me right now, and I'm not going to tell her anything.
All right. So obviously you're well aware of what she did in the past, liking the graphic images from October the 7th. Okay, you're aware of all that. But initially, it seemed like, Melanie, that you were okay with at least engaging in some conversation. Was this a strategy by you to make her feel comfortable and then go after her? How did the whole conversation start?
I'm always up for having a conversation, you know, even if somebody's standing on the opposite side of me, as long as they're willing to have a dialogue. I think that's the best approach to this kind of stuff. I think people are way too divisive and divided. But I did know that obviously she has a pretty strong sentiment towards Israeli for God knows what reason. And so I decided to first ask her for a picture just to kind of gauge what vibe she was going to be in. So I introduced myself, said my name is Melanie, and I asked her for a photo, and she took a photo with me, and she was very, very nice. And then as we were taking the photo, I told her, I'm actually Miss Israel.
Oh.
And I saw, saw the expression change, even though I have to say, I mean, this is part of her job as a public figure these days, I guess, but she did stay polite and cordial, but you could very distinctly see the body language change. And so I noticed this, and I told her, listen, I have to say I'm very disappointed in the things that I have seen you posting or endorsing, but part of my role as Melanie and as Miss Israel is to engage with people in productive dialogue, and I would be happy to have a conversation with you. Now, you know, I think that for the wife of a mayor, like the right response would have been anything, but she kind of brushed me off and smiled awkwardly. And then I asked her, since I gauged this disinterest from her, I asked her, have you ever met an Israeli before? Have you ever gotten to speak to an Israeli directly before? And she once again kind of brushed me off and said, yeah, I have many Israeli friends, which I struggle to believe.
Oh, my God.
And so I just wanted to see, you know, like, would she have taken a photo with me had she known who I was? And so I asked her, hey, I didn't like the way this one turned out. Do you mind if we get another one? And she said, no, I think that's enough. and that was pretty much it. So, you know, I'm not the kind of person that you know, aggressively just opens up my camera and starts you know, talking at people. I figured I would get her consent, but yes, It was a very, very interesting interaction, I will say.
Wow. So when she walked in, Duwaji, you recognized her right away? Right away?
I did, but I was just thinking to myself, like, what are the odds that this girl is sitting right next to me? Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But she also looked so much like the photos or like the persona that they try to present about her. She came in with her little sketchbook or notebook or whatever it was. She had like wired headphones. I don't know if that's like an attempt to look like she's part of the public and very likable, or if that's just where she goes. Obviously, I don't know because I don't live in New York, but yeah, many people have asked me, like, there's no way this was a coincidence, right? Like, you were looking for her, but the answer is definitely not.
No, the Mossad set this up. That'll be the folks on the side.
Yeah.
The Mossad, they had everything to do with this. They made sure that Melanie walked in and there's Rawa. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say that you really did expect that she would apologize. Not necessarily to you, but for her comments, for what she liked on the internet. You know, you say she had a sketchbook. She's also involved with a lady in these children's books that also hates the Jews. Very, very public with her anti. Yeah, so everything she does, everything this woman does centers around hating Jewish people. If she would have said to you, Mel, listen, I don't feel that way. That was a long time ago. That doesn't go away. But at least try to make some type of explanation. Don't you think that would have gone a long way?
Oh, definitely. I mean, she publicly apologized I think it was a few weeks ago. And obviously, I think she was forced to because the style of rhetoric that she was found endorsing just kind of reached a new low or a new extreme. But, you know, when I told her, I was very, very nice and very cordial. Honestly, I was, I was really trying to not antagonize her because I thought, like, this could actually be a very interesting and potentially very productive conversation. So I told her, look, I have to say, in all honesty, I'm disappointed in the content that I have seen you endorse online, but I would still love to have a conversation with you. And, you know, when I said that, she kind of, it was like a non-response. She kind of nodded or you know, just kind of was listening to what I said, but without actually acknowledging it, which I think is, it's weird and it's kind of crazy for two reasons. Like, first of all, you publicly apologized, and so how is it that you can't apologize to an Israeli face to face?
Hold on, well, she never. Hold on. When you say publicly apologize, Melanie, she never apologized for liking the graphic figures on October the 7th.
It was a non-apology. No, it was a non-apology.
Right.
What I'm saying is that it's a lot harder to do that publicly than it is to just acknowledge an Israeli telling you that they have seen you do this. You're literally sitting right next to me. I mean, even out of discomfort, if I were in her position, I would have probably acknowledged that, but she didn't. And then obviously, I mean, you heard the story, but right after that, the conversation kind of ended. She obviously wasn't interested in having a conversation with me, claimed she had heard my side many times, and then refused to take any other photos or engage with me in any other way. So, you know, obviously, I think that it's very representative of a larger, of the larger picture, or like this is like a micro example of the macro. And it's something that I've experienced over the last several weeks touring campuses across the U.S. There's one side that is definitely open and willing to have dialogue, and there's one side that is not. And you can even see it in the style of protests that are going on. Never have I seen an Iran protest, against the IRGC, or a pro-Israel protest get as nasty as the Palestinian protest.
That's right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
It's very clear that there's a lack of willingness to have any amount of productive dialogue on one side.
No,
it was just sad to see, because this is the mayor's wife. I mean, this is not only it's not only like a mayor's wife, it's the mayor of New York City. Like there are so many Jewish people in New York City. So it's very disheartening to me to see that that's the approach in one of the most high density Jewish populations in the world.
Well, I live here, and I spend 5 days a week and 20 hours a week talking about the mayor, and he's an evil anti-Semite, Jewish hating, anti-cop, anti-capitalism, anti-everything guy, and his wife and him are
focusing
perfect.
on Jews was the first thing he did when he came into office.
That's right.
But no, that doesn't surprise anyone. So.
That's right. And you talk about speaking on campuses. His best buddy, he loves this guy, Melanie, is Mahmoud Khalil, who I call the campus terrorist. So not that long ago, at the end of Ramadan, here in New York City, at the house that we pay taxes for, Gracie Mansion, there was your new friend, Rawa, entertaining Khalil, his wife, and their baby. So there you are, doing a great job speaking at all these campuses, trying to help these kids get through a difficult time. And this lady and her husband are entertaining that couple at Gracie Mansion. That's all you need to know.
It's funny because Mayor Adams, before Mamdani came into office, had invited me to Gracie. So I was actually there some months ago. And on the other side, Mamdani's office failed or declined to comment on this story. So it's just very, very, very different approach. It's very clear that one side is not interested in discourse with the other. It's just sad to me that this is like one of the biggest cities in the U.S.
Is sad. So when you're in, I have a lot of friends in Israel. I go back and forth now a bit. I'll be going back again in June to the Waldorf Astoria to speak at the JNS.org Summit, International Policy Summit. They make a big deal the last night, Melanie. They get me and Bibi and Mark Levin and Mike Huckabee, a whole bunch of big-time folks, It's a great time. I've gone back now 4 times since the war started in 2023, and I love the country, and I met a million friends. So my WhatsApp, for example, every day I get 25 messages on my WhatsApp from Israelis, and most of the messages are about Mamdani. A lot of my friends who moved from New York that now live in Judea and Samaria, they live in Jerusalem, they live in Tel Aviv, Haifa, Netanya. They can't believe that we elected, not we, but New York elected this anti-Semite and his horrible wife to run this city. I'm sure you're one of them.
Unfortunately, a lot of Jewish people also elected him, and
I know.
It's a phenomenon that I've seen, especially across campuses. I think it's young people that think that just because they align with more progressive values, they have to vote Democrat no matter what. And they, for them, like that party and some people in that party are do no wrong. I've heard people justify things, like Jewish people justify things that Mamdani has done that, stripped protections for Jews in New York. And it's just very, very sad for me to see that, because I think that those Jewish people have no awareness of what's really going on. I think if they did, they would be a lot more scared.
They'd be pissed. Last one. You are Miss Israel. That's not a small thing. That's a big deal. And all the guys on my show want to know, what are some of the perks you get being Miss Israel when you go home?
Oh, I got a lot of anti-Semitic comments on my my DMs.
It's funny. Somebody sent me the picture of you and Rawa in the Brooklyn Cafe a couple days ago, and they titled it "Beauty and the Beast." You were not the Beast.
No comment. But I will say, I've kind of gone rogue in my role, because I ideally, a Miss Israel or a Miss USA or a Miss anything should be focused on kind of more like pageant-related things. Now, I knew from the moment I entered this competition that I wouldn't have that luxury, and that's actually the reason why I entered Miss Israel. I'm not a pageant person at all. I'm like the opposite of it. I have a motorcycle and I do tech. It's really, it's not like my space, but I recognized it as an opportunity, or identified it as an opportunity to advocate for Israel. And so everything I've done has kind of been out of scope of my role. I think it's a very critical part of my role and what makes it important today. But, had I not decided to do that, probably you wouldn't even hear about me, and I would be doing a couple fashion shows and that's it. But I think that as Israelis, we don't have that luxury, nor is that something that's interesting for me. So, in terms of benefits, I'll say it's come with a lot of challenges, but the main benefit has been being able to do that and really being able to reach a lot of people. I think that's been extremely fulfilling, as difficult as it's been at times.
Ah, good for you. God bless you. You're terrific. You really are. Maybe one day you could be the next woman prime minister since Golda Meir. How about that? run that place. You can run that joint, can't you?
You're not the first to say.
I'm sure I'm not. No, you really are great. You're terrific. And I love the fact that you did all this just to be an advocate for Israel, and your voice does matter. And we love you here. We love you, not Rawa. So thank you for calling in this morning. Enjoy the rest of your time in the United States, and I'll see you in Israel come June. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
All right, Melanie. Take care, sweetheart. There she is, Miss Israel, Melanie Shiraz. Brilliant younger lady, by the way. Very, very smart. And clearly has a big future ahead of her. Congratulations to Melanie. We'll take a short break. Still more to do. The amazing artist, he's going to be on Bo Dito's podcast later on today. The relentless patriot, Scott LoBaido, still to come.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I want to get back to something that I talked a lot about in the first hour. We had no guests. I just go off for like an hour with all the top stories. And that is this police officer who I dubbed about 5 o'clock this morning. Is that right, Noam? When I dubbed Captain James Wilson a hero?
That's correct.
Much to your dismay, not because you don't appreciate the guy, but you, listen, you said there are rules and policy. Pick up LoBaido, Justin. There are rules and policy in place that say that police officers in public cannot talk negatively about public officials, which include the mayor. So based on that, you're right. My argument has been all morning long, not that two wrongs ever make a right, but why wouldn't the mayor have to abide by the same policy? Why is it okay for Mayor Mamdani to go out there and crucify the cops at every opportunity, which he does? I'm not making this up. He does it time and time again. It's always the cops' fault. Always the cops' fault. He goes to the hospital to visit perps instead of the cops. He's anti-cop as much as he's anti-Jewish. He's a scumbag, is what he is. So it's okay for Mamdani and all of his douchebag little minions in the city council, excluding Vicky Palladino, who I love, Frank Morano, David Carr, Ina Vernikov, and Joanne, excluding them, 46 Democrats, 24 of which are lunatics, progressives, and hate the cops as much as Mamdani does. If I got to read one more post from this idiot Lincoln wrestler, who are you? Who in God's name are you, Lincoln? I see your face online. You look like the little punk, this little pussy punk. Who are you? Who are you people in the city council? Some of the worst group of people God ever assembled in one place at one time. I don't know why Julie Menon even wants the job. She's not perfect. She screwed up with Vicky twice. But why would she even want that job? This is a collection of absolute losers. So when my guy James Wilson goes out there and says this mayor's an embarrassment, he's right. He's right. When he talks about Democrats being losers, he's right. And I'll tell you something else, because no one's closer with the cops than me. Nobody. Sorry, no one. I mean, no. Come on. How many nights a week do I get honored by the cops?
There's actually little trophies hanging around the radio station because you have so many.
I know.
Of them.
I can't take them home.
Yeah.
There's like 4 of them right here. They love me. I love them. They all hate him. They all hate him. You think Jessica Tisch likes Mamdani? Are you stupid? But she loves her job. She loves the men and women in blue. She cares about us. I talk to Jessica. Not as much anymore because I'm pretty sure Mamdani wiretapped her phone. I'm not even kidding. But the truth is, she doesn't like that. No one likes this guy. President Trump can smile all he wants in the Oval Office. He doesn't like this guy. Jessica Tisch doesn't like this guy. The cops can't stand him. So you can demote Wilson all you want, the poor guy. They took him out of the 94 in Brooklyn. They got him answering phones in the Bronx, which is a disaster. You can do whatever you want to this guy. I am telling Captain James Wilson, anybody that works at the 94 with Wilson, you all know who I am. You all love me. You all love me. You make sure that you get this message to Jimmy Wilson, his wife, his friends, anybody who loves him. You're a hero. You're a hero because you had the courage and the balls to stand up for Sid Rosenberg and millions like Sid Rosenberg who can't stand this guy. Why is he allowed to say whatever he wants but James Wilson is not. Because there's a policy, take that policy and shove it up your ass. Scott LoBaido's next.
Sid and Friends in the morning on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Scott is going to be a guest of Bo Dietl on his podcast today. You can get that. Here he is, the great Scott LoBaido. Scotty, good morning, pal. How are you?
How you doing, buddy? How's your head?
It's, it hurts. I actually have a headache. I'm glad you see, you're the only guest that I asked. You actually love me and care about me. And what's funny, now that Scott asked about my head, which I smashed myself trying to pick up paper towels, smashed it on my granite marble last night. And Danielle, who I love you, I know you're listening, ran me over to the City MD. But in a show of solidarity, Scott, you love this. Right now, Lou Rapino and Noam Layden have placed Band-Aids in the center of their heads. Isn't that beautiful?
That's nice. See, I have a pimple. I'm 61 years old. I have a pimple right now in the center of my forehead. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have what you have. I'm embarrassed. I'm 61 years old. I have this giant pimple in my head.
Well, you know why you get that? You get that from, it's either stress or some of the oils and stuff that you use when you do these amazing paintings. Can lead to some acne, I guess. I don't know.
You're right. It might be a little of it. It's a little of both. A little of both.
Yeah.
What's the saying? Is it easy times make weak men? Is that the saying?
Yeah. Well.
Right. Okay. Well, that's where we are right now. It's look. I studied long ago many things, and one of them was survival, how to survive in situations. And my friends always laughed at me. Everybody, my family, they made fun of me. And then throughout the years, things happened like the hurricanes and 9/11 and all sorts of stuff where my survival instincts kicked in, and it keeps me alive. And it's nice to be prepared. I'm not, looking for the end of times, but I'm prepared for it. I think that as bad as it is, I think it has to get worse. It's going to get worse. It must get worse. And, a lot of people, I think even you sometimes are like, that's it. Once it's over, it's over. It's like I always say, the forest needs to burn, because when the forest burns down, what does it do, Sid? It rejuvenates itself back to its original self.
That's right.
So we need this chaos. We need it. We need this death and destruction. Now, it's kind of weird to say, but even if Cuomo would have won, this piece of garbage and his whole plan, meaning Mamdani and his crew of Jew-hating, America-hating, New York-hating, wild, vicious, violent, destructive animals, would have spent the next 4 years, say, if Cuomo was here, building and getting bigger and stronger. And then we would have absolutely no chance to rejuvenate. So it is actually a good thing that it is happening at this moment.
You know what? I agree with that. I agree with what you just said. First of all, Cuomo would not have been much better. I know he had experience, and he's a better person than Mamdani, which doesn't say a heck of a lot. But I think you're right. I think sometimes, you procrastinate because you don't want to get to something that's not great right away. When you do that, most of the time it's worse. So I think you just nailed it. That's a great job, Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, look, and with this Captain James Wilson, I'm like you, big cop supporter. It was like 6 years ago when I painted that blue line down Highland Boulevard during the heat of when the punks were throwing water on the cops, and de Blasio was the same, hated the cops. And I painted that blue line, and he sent me a letter the next day from the city to remove it, cease and desist, or I would be jailed and fined. And that blue line, I stood strong. It's still there as we speak. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to repaint it, brighten it up. And I want the mayor to know that I'm doing it, and I want him to try to stop me from supporting my police department.
Love it.
I say that these cops go on strike. I know it can't happen, but it is so bad. I just want that to happen. Back to my original statement of if there's no cops for 24 hours, there would be more death and destruction in this city needed to straighten out those weak, pussy-ass men that voted for Mamdani, because they're spoiled. You know that. I know that. They need a survival situation to become the men that they secretly are. Every man is a man. I don't care who you are, how you dress, how feminine you are. When the shit hits the fan and you need to survive, your instincts kicked in and you change the way you are. You become a man. And that's one of the positive things that I am happy. I'm happy that this is happening. I'm not happy it's happening. I'm happy it's happening now, Sid. So that's what I'm feeling. I'm really feeling that. Let it burn. You know, let guys like Griffin, let him take his stuff, take his business out of here.
Agreed.
More people, take it out. Let it burn. Us soldiers will still be here, and then all of these young folks will sharpen up. They will change their attitude, and they will follow us. And not follow us as a cult. We're cult leaders. We're just righteous men. We're just men who see what's great in our city, our community, and our country. It's very simple. We ain't geniuses. People look up to us and they praise us, and I hate that praise. I'm just a regular effing dude with a pair of balls who lives in Staten Island, happens to be very creative, but that's it. I am nothing more. And there's so many men out there like us that need this survival situation to come around.
Couldn't agree more. In the final 2 minutes, excellent rant there, by the way, Scotty. That's why people love you here. Tell me about your trip to Ellis Island Saturday night, immigration. I got about 2 minutes.
Yeah, I haven't been there, and I'm ashamed I haven't been there. I've been to the Statue of Liberty many times. It was a big event with Glenn Beck and the American Experience, Moms for Liberties, with that girl, my friend Alex Bauer. And it really was one of the most emotional moments of my life. I sat there, stood where my great-grandparents' footprints stood, at the exact spot where they were online coming to this country for a better life. Not for themselves, but for me. And here I am displaying a beautiful painting here at this place that they gave me this opportunity. And they got slammed. They got humiliated as Sicilians, Italians, abused. But they worked hard. They assimilated, and they waved that flag every day. And that patriotism is what made this country. And to see what's going on with people that come here, that cry and bitch and moan and spit and sue and get violent and scream, and it's sickening that we can't just have people come here. I would stand on Ellis Island every day and hug every single human being, regardless of religious, gender, ethnicity, that came here and assimilated like my great-grandparents say, and I would personally welcome them with a red, white, and blue lei to wrap around their neck. But that's not happening, and that needs to come back.
And when Scott says that, he means it. I believe that. Another amazing appearance, Scotty.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Oh, it's out of here! Home run Ferry Hawks! Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Come out to the ballpark this week as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Charleston Dirty Birds May 5th through the 10th. Grab the kids and come on out. We kick it off on Tuesday, May 5th with Cinco de Baseball with $5 tickets and $5 food and beverage specials. And we end the week as we celebrate all moms on Mother's Day. Moms get in free. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.